3, 2, 1. We are recording Straight and Curly Podcast, episode 125. I am your co-host, Omid. This, of course, is my brother,
Neema.
And he goes by Straight, and I go by Curly, and this is episode 125. And today's a
It's not because of our sexuality. It's because of our hair.
Oh, man. Okay, I'm really glad you cleared that up.
Today we have a very special guest. We have one of my all-time favorite people that has ever walked this earth alongside me. This is a person I've learned a lot from, a perspective through life and music and art and making things with our fingers, hands, hearts, minds, voices. And I just think she's an overall very good person.
And
now
my perspective, because if you've been listening or watching this podcast since the beginning, you know I do every single intro. But this time is a little different because, you know what? We're going to switch it up sometimes. And also because it's my brother's friend. And I've met Janey once. But Janey is a singer and coach and loves mental health. I do too, but we all do. Anyway, please give it up for Miss Janey.
Yeah.
Just as I was, there's an actual, I'm just going to clap along with you guys.
Welcome to the show, Janey Brown.
Thank you for that amazing intro. I almost cried.
Yeah.
And then I was very moved by
how bad my introduction was.
No, I was accurate. I was very concise.
Good.
One thing I think happens is like when we're so like just doing it as it comes to us, even the intro, it's not like this big whole production. I feel like some people feel more comfortable.
Yeah, it's like a regular conversation.
Yeah. You know, I don't feel like I'm on a show. I feel like I'm having a conversation and there's also mics here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
with lights and snacks.
Right. What kind of snacks do we have actually?
Sign too.
We have
see what we got.
Ferrero Rocher. Delicious.
Ferrero Rocher.
Are you actually a fan of
Ferrero?
I used to love these. I can't have them because there's gluten in them now, but I really do like them.
Wait, there's gluten in them now? There wasn't gluten before?
No, there's always gluten in them. I now.
I was like, wait, they didn't have gluten before?
No, I appreciate you being specific.
Yeah, I told you I'm very specific.
No, it's good. It's good. We need people like that in the world today. So yeah, I can't have them, but they're amazing. There's nuts here.
Nuts?
A variety of
You like nuts?
Of nuts.
That's nice.
There's
CBD
tell us
about
gummies,
these.
CBD oils.
and CBD oil.
Oh my
from
goodness.
North Wellness.
We're not. This isn't sponsored, by the way. We're just.
No, this is just these are our favorite snacks.
Yeah. I mean, we'd be down to be sponsored by these Ferrero Rocher, especially.
Okay. She's going to hold up this little white thing. Okay.
What is that?
Tell you what it is, and then I'm going to tell you what I think of it.
Okay. So this is a CBD Body Bomb. It's got a variety of different ingredients in it, and it's meant for soothing achy joints and painful joints and muscles, and it also helps soothe dry and itchy skin. And I use it every night before bed to help me sleep better.
Interesting.
On my lips.
When I smelled it, you're going to smell it in a second, but it might be one of the best things I've ever smelled, honestly. There it is. That's the freeze frame.
Now that's nice.
Give it up for CBD North.
Damn, that's fucking good.
Right. They also have lemongrass and lavender scented ones and unscented ones.
That smelled like regular vanilla, but on crack.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's got
vanilla.
a touch of rose in it.
Yeah,
Crack
that
vanilla.
really fucked me up.
It's so good. It's
So
delicious.
fucking good. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I rarely ever in my life put any lotion on myself. I'm just naturally, very nice skin.
Just lubed always.
Just lubed always. I'm always lubed up on a Sunday.
The choice of words.
You know what I'm saying? But I would love to try these.
Yeah.
It actually works?
Well, I mean, for me, especially if I'm having joint pain, I definitely feel...
Like you can put that everywhere. Like
you put it everywhere. Yeah. I usually use it on my lips because that, for whatever reason, with this combination of ingredients, helps me sleep enough just to put it on my lips. Yeah. And
Really?
when I don't have nail polish on, I'll put it on my nails as well.
Oh.
Because the nail beds are really absorbent.
You think I can try a little bit of it?
100%. Yeah. I brought it here for, you guys can have
Fuck
these
yeah.
too. And if you want, you can have that too.
Let's
fun
get
day.
it. How much do you put? A little bit? I don't know. I've never
I
done
mean, you can be generous with it. Yeah.
Is that a lot?
Yeah. Where are you going to put that?
I have no
Right,
idea.
it's a good question.
I mean,
Is it a lot?
if that's for your lips, it's a lot. But if
Oh,
you're
no.
gonna rub that on like
Look at
your
my hands and shit.
yeah,
Rub it
no,
into your
that's-
hands, yeah.
you're good.
Yeah, yeah.
Get a little rose hip in there.
You can really get in there with it.
You know what? I'll do this too.
Yeah,
Oh, damn.
it feels good on your lips. Like honestly, it's so good too in the winter.
Mm.
And if you guys ever, I have some backup. So if you're like, yo, we want a full thing of this, I'll bring it. And if you ever are in a predicament and I don't have what you need, you can use code Janey25
Wow.
to get some
Heard it here
serious
first.
discount.
Wow. I immediately feel the effects.
You might even find it in the show notes.
I'm not
Oh my
gonna like.
God.
I really do feel like
Ooh.
very tranquil when I use this stuff.
I feel good. Am I high? Okay.
There's no THC.
Can't be
Yes.
high. On life, you can be.
Yeah.
No, but it
Like-
actually feels it's just like you feel like a bit like a baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I think like for me, it depends on where I use it, but I definitely feel like a body buzz when I use it for achy joints. It doesn't make you high. Like there's no THC in it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Everyone feels different, but like I feel
When you say achy joints,
like just
extra from
inflamed and
no, but I'm saying like from working out.
yeah,
extra?
like usually that overuse or I have some injuries that I'm dealing with, and it kind of gives referral pain to different parts of my body. So when I feel that, I'll just use that, and it's just like
Yeah.
being in a buzz, like a body buzz.
Wow.
And it helps you sleep. You said.
Definitely helps me sleep. Yeah, like I have insomnia, regularly.
For people who probably don't know exactly what it is.
Oh,
Can you
it's a sleep disorder. It's I think everyone experiences different sort of variations of it. It's essentially this thing where you either have trouble getting to sleep or you have trouble staying asleep. And it's for me, it's really hard to like lock down a pattern and understand why it's happening. And one thing that has been helpful for me is instead of taking sleeping medication is using CBD, and it doesn't take away insomnia, but it definitely helps mitigate the consistency of insomnia.
So wait, am I gonna fall asleep during this podcast?
I guess we're gonna find out.
Imagine it just like slowly starts like
Yeah.
dozing off.
I don't know if it'll hit you. It's not like
No, it's
taking
not good.
oxy or something. It's like, you might feel buzzy or like,
You probably
or you
just
might
feel
you might feel
relaxed.
nothing. Like I don't know.
Mm.
Some people like one
Did I
of
put
the
a lot?
not really.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean again, like
But
if
you
you're-
ate 20 milligrams of CBD. Like
I feel like you're not gonna feel any. Like I'm
felt
a
nothing.
lightweight for everything, so like okay. I mean, you might feel something.
Yeah. Whatever.
Depends on how CBD affects you. Like my rep was saying that he uses this stuff for focus. Like he takes it in the
Oh,
day.
nice.
And I'm like, there's no way I'm taking this in the day and like
You're
functioning.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're out like a light.
out
time.
like a light. Hey.
Mhm.
Well, that's interesting. I had a question for you because we were talking about it earlier,
Yeah.
and it was about dating.
Okay.
So I
Go for it.
actually, because you brought up a story that, I mean, you may or may not want to tell it on here, but it's up to you. You were talking about how, I don't want to give away the story or anything, but like you obviously got approached by this person
Mhm.
one day,
Mhm.
and you're like, you told the guy that you'll take his number,
I did.
right?
Yes. I was like, he was like, can I get your number? And I was like, yeah, here's my phone. Put in your number. And he was like, no, you
Yeah.
give me your number.
Exactly. So my question is, what's the psychology behind that for women? Do you prefer if a guy asks for your number or says, here, take my number? Does that make you more inclined to text them or call them or receive a call or whatever? Like which ones?
I think it's this.
Prefer.
It's like, okay, I can only speak for myself. I get in my own way a lot. And I also think, so that's a personal thing. I also think by and large, women maybe have an unrealistic expectation around like love at first sight or being struck by lightning and like who to give a chance on. You know what I mean? So for me, like, I think it's like I'm coming to this place where I need to reckon with, I either just need to be honest with the dude and say, I'm not going to give you my number because I'm not interested. Or if I think there could be something there and like I do want to give him a chance, I do have to give him my number or no holds barred. I am not going to text.
Okay.
And it's not even because I maybe wasn't struck by lightning or anything. It's just because I'm, again, I get in my own way. Like it could just be laziness even like, well, like,
What's the point?
yeah, like it's probably just a waste of time or
Ah, okay.
I didn't really, yeah, or like there's, who knows, there's a million excuses to not. I mean, the dating situation it's such a trip, especially online. Like it just feels like such a task.
I know.
And such a job.
And it shouldn't feel like that, you know?
Well, yeah, it kind of doesn't when you know, to your point, when you meet people in real life and you feel a vibe. It's like, there's a vibe there. Okay, now I want to go meet them again versus like, let me sift through these hundreds of people, base my decisions on how tall they are, and then start a conversation to see if we even fucking want to meet.
Brutal.
And then meet and see if that goes okay. Like, it's just, it's a job. You know?
Just hearing you say it like that made me feel like, who would want to do that? Honestly.
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
It's draining. It is. And then like you go and it's just like, buddy wants to, you know, put you in a box of whatever like zodiac sign you are, like to mitigate failure with you. Like,
Zodiac, the first thing that he fucking said.
So weird.
Yeah, typical fucking Leos, eh?
Yeah, like
Leos?
stuff like that. No,
Yeah,
I'm a Virgo, but still, like, what does that even mean, right?
I know, it doesn't...
Like, we actually have talked about zodiacs quite a bit on this show, like, for whatever reason.
I'm sure there's something to it.
I don't know.
You know, like, are you going to base your fucking dating decision off of that? Like,
one of the best things that I heard, and I shared this with Neema, and I'm not sure I actually had a chance to say, but this sounds like a good time to bring this in. A friend of mine, dear friend of mine, who's also a listener to the show, actually, her name's Stacy. When several months ago we were talking about dating and just like, you know, the approach to profiles, like if you're going to do it in that's their lane you're going to choose, let's say. She's like, look at it more like a handshake, not like a resume. Like, and it really, for whatever reason, it just clicked so much. I was like, damn, nobody should go into this being like, hey, here are all the reasons like I'm worthy of being sold. I'm not even sure like how I would look at it. Like he's like what I'm trying to sell or what I'm trying to whatever, but a handshake is a different thing. It's like, here's 6 things that we can talk about for 15 minutes very easily that are probably pretty approachable. Like, I don't know, this is what I like to do, or like what I like to I don't know, eat, or like hobbies of something. I don't know. I just like, I don't know. I never actually got to the point of doing it for myself, but like, I don't have any good examples, but I like the way that she posed it like that. If you're going to do it online, you know, don't go into it like, here's everything you would ever need to know that if I met you in person would have discovered through by chance, through actual conversations, through directly asking you, but it would come up as it comes up. You know, like I wouldn't necessarily know why you need to know my political whatever within the 30 seconds you've seen my face, you know?
Do you think it's more attractive if a guy asks you for a number or says, here, take my number and message me?
Oh, the message me part will never work.
It's just what, I guess it's like, it's for me, it's less about whether it's attractive or not, or just more about whether it's going to like happen for him or not. Like, I feel like that's the wrong question. Not the wrong question. I just feel like if guys are like, if the goal is to become more successful at like people linking with you, like after you meet them, it's like, I actually do think guys need to ask for numbers.
Oh yeah.
Versus give.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm only asked this because recently I've been telling girls that I've talked to just take my number, and it's worked every time.
Well, yeah, you're Neema Naz.
Okay, I mean,
okay. All you have to do is give them your Instagram account.
No, but like I don't.
Damn,
yeah, maybe
Daddy.
actually, I don't know. Maybe that probably is why.
I don't. Okay, as soon as I said that, I was like, no, I don't mean it like that.
No, I know you don't, but in my mind, I'm like, oh wait, that actually does make sense though.
But you're also a great dude, just like your brother, and so there's a vibe there. It's not like I've met a lot of famous people who are douchebags, and I'm just like, I would never call that person. I wouldn't even touch them with a 10-foot pole.
Well, yeah,
you know what I mean. Like,
sure.
so it's really not
well,
about.
I'm not famous, but
I'm just saying, like, even famous people, like that doesn't mean shit when you're actually looking for vibe, right?
Oh yeah.
So if they're calling you, it's because there's a vibe there too, right? But
or just clout chasers.
So I was joking.
Or they're just gold diggers. When I have no gold, they're just diggers.
No, there's no gold here.
Yeah,
we don't even have copper.
Yeah. We don't. Maybe bronze, but that's just because of the pennies we own.
Wow.
Man, honestly,
I don't even know what's the right term.
It's a hard, like, it's hard out here for a pimp, dude. Like, when it comes to dating, like, seriously, I think that
I've never heard that one.
I think it's hard to nail down like what is the reason people ghost for real and what is the reason they call or don't call. Like, there's just so many variables that go into it at this point. especially if you're online dating, you know?
Yeah, it's so much easier now to do that.
Yeah. What, to date online?
No, well, that too, but to ghost people.
Big time.
Like that, ghosting
time.
never happened back in the day.
Right.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I feel like
you
you're
just
right.
tell the person, hey, I'm not interested.
Probably because
Call
the people that you would have options with were like part of your town, and it's like the only people you'd see. And if they ghosted, you'd be like, so what the fuck happened?
The fuck is wrong with you? Yeah.
I can actually add something to this. Mark Groves, which you might know, he talked about this on a podcast. Said, you know, like if you consider 1970, where ghosting, for that reason that you just mentioned, but also for like a second reason of like the social cost of it is almost too high. Because the way that you meet people from the first place is actually the key to understanding like why ghosting wouldn't happen. For example, to her credit, like we live in a town or neighborhood, or there's 2 high schools if you're really lucky, right? Whatever it is. Me getting set up by a friend to go on a date or a blind date or meet this person or talk to or whatever. Me not showing up, standing her up, like treating her poorly, even like all those things matter so much more when you can't just go on Tinder. Because it's 1970, right? Like you have to hope that some other person at school, at your job, down the street, like whatever, you know? So ghosting and certain other behaviors that have, I think, maybe sprouted out of the constant availability of it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, and here's a second thing I like to add actually, is that like love is not found, it's developed.
That is so fucking huge. I'm so glad you brought that. That's kind of like along the same lines as what I was sort of positing earlier in the convo, where I said I think that I actually said women have these sort of unrealistic expectations. I just think people do. Like, I don't know what we think is going to happen here. Like, you know, the movie fairy tale of like person meets person and they fall in love, and like it's like this love at first sight feeling. And I don't know if that's as common as we like are expecting. And I think for me at least, this whole idea of I'm going to expect from now on that I am just going to grow into love with someone, and it could be someone I would never have imagined. It could be a homeboy of mine, and I'm just open. Like, because at this point, like this love at first sight thing, this struck by lightning thing, like I don't know if, I mean, I've certainly felt it before in past relationships, but where are those past relationships now? Like being struck by lightning and passion and shit isn't indicative of like a successful relationship. So even if you do have that, like who cares, right? Like
it's just one part of a very long story.
Right. And like just one experience in one relationship, right? So like, yeah, I love that you're saying like love is created and developed versus like, it's like this some happenstance thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's so
That's
big.
true.
I think when I consider like even the way that people speak to one another on Twitter, and I also compare like the way that people swipe on one another on Tinder, it's like it's so hyper inflated. Like you're taking the most like, you know, concentrated parts of human interaction and you're blowing it up to make it the only thing that's happening. It's like if you're a man, you're a guy, I'll take myself, okay, 32 years old, live in a town, you go to a bar, like you can meet how many women that night? One by one, statistically speaking, like going up to them and like speaking and asking if they're single, like having a conversation, like getting rejected, like going somewhere. Like you couldn't do that maybe 8 times in a night, 20 times. Like you can't do it 800 times in a day.
Right. Like if you were treating it like you're saying, if this was your full-time job and like your only mission, and you like went as hard as you could at like, you know, going like plowing through every person to see if they're a good candidate, like even that you could only do that, like you're saying 8 times in a 12-hour period.
Yeah. I'm saying like on Twitter, you can tweet 800 people, say completely wild, reckless shit that you would never say to them in person. Not because you can't even see that many people in person. You wouldn't even have like the balls to say those things you say on keyboards in person. Right. It's the same thing on Tinder. It's like you just pay for the unlimited whatever swipe package, like whatever the fuck it's called.
Super likes and shit.
Yeah, and
oh, I just thought of a funny idea. Sorry, let me just write it down. Go ahead.
So imagine like you're doing this, right? And you're going and you're just smashing like right swipes or whatever on people all fucking day long. You know, you've taken like the one part of like real interpersonal, like you going statistically trying that maybe only occurs for you 1% of the time, 5% of the time.
In real life, you're saying.
And you're getting to do that imaginary fantasy play out of it all the time, 100% of the time. because you look at their photos, you see what angle how they look in different lights and different things. You can you objectify their body. You look at where they studied, how much money they might make, what social class there might be in, et cetera, and then you're making a decision. It's like, so what's the right answer though? Like, what if you found that person, right? Like, would you just do it, or still you would think, oh, there's someone better out there? Like, that would never happen in person. In person, you would say like, hey, like these are the options, not like I can't do better, as in I have to make things work because I myself am incomplete. How am I, like I just feel like there was this is like kind of fucking up a beautiful thing that a human being gets to experience simply by being alive, and something like a corporation. And this isn't a anti-capitalist thing rant. This is a anti-love rant, maybe. I don't know. Like
or
I don't know.
Curated love.
Yeah. Like I think I've been at bat for the convenience and the expediency, and like you should find somebody that has more compatibility with you off the bat, especially for people who don't have relationship skills. There's points for Tinder too. I just think what it's become, let's just not call it like we're looking for a connection, like
Trying to fuck.
or something else, or you're trying to get validated, or you're trying to see what else is out there continually, right?
Well, yeah. As from my perspective, I deleted those apps 5 years ago because I was so discouraged. The only matches I would get, which were very limited, were from bots or guys disguised as women.
There's bots on these
Yeah.
things? Come on,
Yeah.
man. What the
Or
fuck?
guys disguised as women. So I literally matched with 0 girls, and I'm like, what the fuck am I even doing on here? Like, what the fuck is the point of this?
Now I'm
So-
like, do I match with guys even? Or like
well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
girls
there's-
or whoever
yeah,
I'm
for sure.
matching with? Like,
That's
are
what
they
I'm
even
saying.
real? Like,
That's what I'm saying. So that's why I got so discouraged. And like, there's plenty of guys like me who are like, oh, well, that means I'm nothing. I'm less worthy. So then
Like
that's why they goes into their regular life, and they take that with them everywhere, and they lose their confidence. And they let go of themselves. That's exactly what happened to me.
man, that is so harsh.
Yeah.
Because we do have to consider, like, if the effects of mental health and social media are real, what with the correlations that we're seeing, let's say, between preteen girls and suicide and Facebook and Instagram. Like, if that's real, then why wouldn't there be a correlation between self-esteem and mental health of men from these dating apps? Especially if like we're of the generation or of the habit to, equate like followers and likes with sort of like success or achievement, whether that, is something that you equate to your self-esteem or not. Like it's an achievement, right? To like have a post go viral, which means more likes, more views, whatever. Same thing, I guess, for matching with people. It's like, well, the more people I match with or have conversations with or whatever is a reflection of like the achievement of what this app is supposed to do, or like the success of me as a person, as a man, as a dater, and if that's not happening, like for sure you could see how that would destroy people's mental health, especially, if these apps they do have bots and things like that, or people that are paid to exist on these apps so that the app looks like it's, crushing it more than it is and stuff. And to your point, like I'll say, I don't think that, like, yes, people have met the loves of their lives on these apps in certain cases. I just think maybe, yeah, we shouldn't like replace that with meeting people in real life, like, or expect that it's going to be any better. I think there's pros and cons to both, but I will say, like, if any one of these people could be the loves of my life in real life, but all I have to base my decision on is like their height and their picture, like this is a crisis. Like,
right. Call it what it is.
Because everyone that I've ever been with has been someone I've met based on vibe. Mm-hmm. And I've never known what they've done or what their job was, or
interesting.
You know what I'm saying? So like,
I totally know.
This is weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I don't like hearing that it's like affecting mental health of guys. And it is harder for guys because they're in a traditional world, guys approaching girls, like they're the approacher, they're the pursuer. So it's definitely harder for guys.
There's way more guys. There's more competition for guys. Because it's so much harder. It's so much harder for guys to...
I want to correct that sentence. It seems like there's more competition for guys.
Because we would say the same thing.
People are really
Girls would say the
fucking
same
good
thing.
at pretending. This is what I'm saying.
What do you mean, pretending?
Like, guys can go on and take a photo and doctor it any way they want. They can write pretty much anything they want. And as long as it looks like it is, in person, they probably even bedazzle you for a little short while. Like, people are good at putting on a front, man. Like people can hide families, girlfriends, side babies, chicks, all. Like, you think they can't hide? This guy doesn't own the Ferrari, doesn't own the car. Like, he does. Like, he's pretending to be. First of all, the idea of the alpha male is incorrect, but in this, for whatever reason, that's what they think the alpha male looks like. Then you can pretend to be like it. And you don't actually did any of the work to get there. Not that I'm saying that's what it looks like, but for whatever reason, having that car and living there in whatever fucking crazy world that we live in, people think, oh, well, that's the value of the highest man or some shit like that.
Yeah, it's like the achievement to like strive for or whatever.
And so there seems like there's more competition, but there's not really. There's just more pretend. And you can't sparse through it fast enough because people are good at stringing you along, let's say over text, and they can put together one good day that's like seemingly a snapshot into the life they've been telling you they have. But then for the next 16 days, they go and do this super crazy shit off to the side that you know nothing about. And they just keep putting on these fronts and carrying you along. And they're just trying to get laid. And they can probably accomplish that with 2 car rentals of a Ferrari on 2 days. I swear to God, like you think it's crazy.
It's the oldest trick in the book. Like, look at every rap video. I mean, you even like, there's even documentaries out now of influencers where it's like they're renting like the inside of a jet.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, why wouldn't they do that to get dates? You know,
That's ridiculous.
But this is virtue signaling at its finest, right? This is virtue signaling.
What's virtue signaling?
Remember, one of the stories I love to tell is about this tribe that's in the Amazon that is like, I think, a profound example of what virtue signaling truly is. Truly is not, sorry. So for a signal to be true, it has to be costly. Okay? I think one of the most amazing examples I've seen in nature is from the peacock. And that's literally why it's called peacocking. Okay? And I'll tell you why. Yeah. So as the bigger the tail gets, the more attractive it gets, the more attention it gets. But there's also a second side to that coin, which is I now say to the rest of the predators, hey, here I am, standing in the middle of a fucking field. And I'm a peacock, I'm a turkey, right? So in order for the signal to be true, it has to be costly. That costs it, but then that other female peacock he's trying to court knows, oh, that's the main dude. That's the men separated from the boys, okay? And the tribe in the Amazon do something, so I'll give you a human example, okay? There is this tribe that has like these 100-foot like redwood, really massive trees, like very high in the sky, and they build these little towers out of them, and you climb up it, and they give you like 99 feet of rope, like vine, and they tie your feet to it, and you go plummeting face first into the ground. And if it doesn't snap and you don't die, all of a sudden you get up and everyone sees this is like the main, that's who we should mate with. Like that's like the primitive. What? Because he has balls.
He survived.
He jumped off a 100-foot fucking thing with 99 feet of rope. So it stops a foot before he's coming to his splattering death. But that
How
guy
do you survive that?
Because he has a rope attached to him, right? But it just takes big fucking balls to do it.
His head's like dangling pretty much by the ground at the end of it.
Exactly. Or he splatters to his death. So but they do that to sparse out who's the warrior, who's the male, who's the Spartan, who's the 300 guy.
Yeah.
So they're measuring based on courage, not based on money.
So now imagine that is the scenario where like the female you're trying to court is deciding who is the alpha in this case. But I go on Tinder and tell everybody, yeah, I did that jump. And I didn't. But I jumped and I say that I did. I even have a photo of myself hanging 1 foot from the fucking thing to tell everybody I have big fucking balls. That's my point.
Right.
In order for the signal to be true, it must be costly. That's a costly signal.
Like he had to actually sacrifice something.
He has big ones for doing that.
Cajonas.
Right?
Yeah.
His big cajonas.
I was waiting for someone to say that.
So that's it, right? So virtue signaling in the Tinder world is these influencers or people that are taking pictures in front of cars or with clothes that's not theirs or whatever the fuck it is. And it's confusing all of the people who are, to his credit, like worthy, great vibe people, right? Like you said.
Courage.
But because of whatever diluted, saturated amount of fakers who are saying they jumped from that 100-foot thing but didn't, you have this scenario where it's like, well, of course I feel like shit. Look at this fucking guy. He has the best car. He jumps from the highest thing. He has the biggest peacock tail, like all these things. And I'm sitting here, I don't know, in my parents' basement in the year 20 whatever as this age, like, and you can see how it fucking spirals, right? I can see how it gets up. But it's like people are just better at pretending than you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's all that's happening.
And have less like conscience about it, like in a sense.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
There's a legit place downtown Toronto where there's a jet. People like can take pictures with the jet.
It's like a stage.
It's a stage. There's like
A
different.
stage
It's like very aesthetically pleasing backgrounds,
Right.
and one of them is the jet, like inside of a jet, and like every Toronto IG model has taken a picture there. They're on my way to Tulum or Ibiza. I'm like, no, you're not. You're in fucking Queen Street West.
Like there's me outside the window.
I know. I'm looking at you in the picture in the background. You idiot.
Oh man. But see, this is such an age-old trick in the entertainment and the media industry. I mean, like this optics creation has been a tactic that's been used since Kingdom Come, if that's even a thing that you say. And like the difference is that now we all have the ability to do that. Like, so it's not just like, you know, whatever, like the record labels that can create these images of like the American dream that this rapper is living in each rap video or whatever. It's like each person has their own media channel that they can create optics around. And so it's confusing. It was confusing enough for, I think, society before when we were looking at like the measurements of the ideals in society, like on magazines and in videos and stuff. But now we're all measuring against each other. Like, I think that's even worse in a sense because it's no longer like, well, that's Tyra Banks, so of course she's, you know, whatever, X, Y, and Z. Now it's like, well, that's my next door neighbor and like they're killing it. Why aren't I?
Yeah.
So
see
it's
it way more often.
yeah, exactly. It's like there's less, and it's like sort of the American dream or the Canadian dream or whatever. There is a Canadian dream. It's like it's happening to less anomalies. It seems like it's happening to everyone but you now, you know? And I think
that's well said. Yeah,
So.
it's a good point.
but
Yeah, I mean, yeah, with more social media, there comes more responsibility and more just like awareness of what's going on around you, of your
Big time.
surroundings, which therefore causes you to feel more emotions because you're seeing it's like overstimulation constantly.
I have such a hard time with I wonder how you feel about this, like, because knowing you in real life, and you know, to your point, like we know each other less than Omid and I know each other. Mead and I spent tours together and have, you know, hung out a lot. But from what I know about you and what I know about your brother, and I imagine, you know, you share similar traits in honesty and integrity and humility. Like, I imagine if that's who you really are, like how is that? I guess I'm saying this in a roundabout way. Maybe I should use iMessages and say, I'm an integral person. I care about humanity. I care about serving others. And I struggle with the balancing act of like putting myself out there as, you know, oftentimes I'm talking about mental health and stuff on my channels, but there's also this element of like, I don't know, pictures of me on stage and it's kind of flashy and it's like I'm selling myself. Like, this is my channel and I'm using it for good, as for all intents and purposes, to the best of my ability, but I'm still curated. I'm still sort of building my personality up through this channel. And I really struggle with that because on one hand, I feel like it's the antithesis of sort of what I'm trying to strive towards in like my personal spiritual growth. But on the other hand, it's sort of like, but this is the nature of the platform. And like, you have to be entertaining and flashy and sort of, you know, look half decent to sort of get viewers or whatever. Do you struggle with that? How do you balance that, you know, with respect to like, you know, because obviously comedy, it's like skits and stuff. And so you're authentic through your work, but yeah, I guess how do you balance the character? Because even as someone who's speaking from themselves, like a coach, let's say, it's still a personality version of Janey Brown. You know what I'm saying? So like, how do you balance the two?
Right. I have no idea.
Yeah. Okay, great. Good.
Like,
Same boat.
Literally, there's times I make a joke with people sometimes and they say the same, like, oh, like dating you must be fun because you get like 12 different personalities at once, right?
Oh my God.
And it's kind of fucked up, but like,
no pressure.
Right?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I got multiple personality disorder apparently. But no, like, I don't know. The way to separate it is by creating a life where like you have to, like, because we try to do that too, like every in the mornings and stuff. Like, I don't go straight to like doing my work.
Mm-hmm.
You have to like kind of take care of yourself first as a human being
Yeah.
more than anything.
Big time.
And as like for me, like Neema Nazari, the human being. And then after a few hours or whatever, then I can start getting into like work mode and like Neema Naz, the comedian mode.
Become the character.
Become the character,
Right.
you know. And now for like most of that chunk of the day, I'm like the personality.
That makes sense.
Like right now, you've talked to me this whole time. I'm probably like not nothing, but not as close as what you would see on the screen.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah.
Which totally, and like I want to say, which is like welcome, because I want to say, I don't want to cut you off if
No,
I
it's
did
okay.
that. You can
No,
tell me,
no
Sean.
worries. Cut me off as much as you want.
But like you might be able to relate to this because I was right before lockdown, right. I guess it was 2019 was the last South by that I was at. And I was performing and speaking, and I was there. My speech was on mental health for artists. And I was in the green room at one point, and I was talking to a bunch of different artists, and this comedian came and sat with me and, you know, was asking me like what I do and like what's this whole mental health and artist thing and like why do you care and da-da-da. And he sort of opened up to me, and he was like, you know, he revealed that he felt like he was potentially the most in pain out of any artist he knew because everyone expected him to be sort of on all the time. Whereas like with a singer, you know, they have to like cognizantly ask you to go out of character to sing. Like if they're like, sing for me, like
True.
It's not, whereas there's so much, I think with the public, maybe confusion between who a person is and like their personality as an actor or as a comedian, especially because the comedians don't use a character name. They use the real name. Like I am Neema Naz and here's my, you know, comedy. And so he was like, I'm struggling because I don't, you know, I sort of don't know who to be because everyone
Don't know when to turn it off.
Yeah. And I was saying to him, like, listen, just so you know, like I have many different friends in the arts. And I said, like, when they can be real to me, it's less exhausting for me.
Yeah,
Because then
exactly.
I don't have to keep up with your onness all the time when I just want to not be on.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, let's just be human together. And so like you saying, like, you've just been you, it's been dope because like, A, I get to know my good friend's brother more, and B, like, I don't have to feel like I'm like constantly producing like you're funny as is, but I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Like when someone's always trying to like
impress you.
it's like
impressive,
they're grabbing they're thirsty for your attention. You feel like to not be rude, you have to produce like laughter.
Yeah, that's
So
very
tiring.
exhausting. Yeah.
It's tough. So it's tough for both people, like,
For sure.
you know, and anyway, so I don't know if that
That's a great point.
resonates
Yeah,
with
that's
you,
definitely a
but
good point.
That's a great point.
Yeah,
Jane, can I
because
just ask you to pull this in here?
yeah, sorry.
No,
I
it's
keep
okay.
turning to him and I'm
No,
Yeah, that's
no.
right.
Actually, you know what? Why don't you go like this? Even and like
no, so you can
pop this part out
move
if
the
you want.
arm.
got it.
yeah, and then it won't get in your
Make it
face,
straight?
and it
Like the
will
whole
like
thing?
yeah, nice. Yeah,
Is
that
this
works too.
low
That
and
works.
high
Yeah,
enough.
that's
I
good.
just wanted to, because I don't want it to. Yeah, you're good now.
Yeah.
I'll be more cognizant when I turn to talk to you and do this.
No, it's
Yeah,
okay.
feel free to move with.
You
the
can
mic,
move
yeah.
it with you, like you can like
Yeah.
turn it and stuff. Yeah.
I feel like I should change the setup of where people sit now. Like maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah,
make-
maybe like over there.
Yeah, or I don't know.
But then the cameras would be hard to.
You have
film.
some move. You can actually sit more to the side if you want and like edge in. You can both do that because there's lots of space on the camera.
Well, I mean, I'm a trained professional, so I don't need to shift my body. I just know
Actually,
where to turn
I'm
the
used to
axis.
holding a
of my
handheld
neck.
mic, so
I actually am too.
Speaking of being a professional and holding a mic, Janey Brown is celebrating 25 years of being on stage today. Is that right?
Oh shit!
thank you. Yes, it is.
All right, let's give her a nice little.
I'll just clap for myself again too. Why not?
That's pretty much how old I am now.
Right. Yeah, that's
Damn,
crazy.
you were on stage at 1 year old, Janey. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Can you tell
crazy.
us about all of that and how you made it here? I know that might be a big story, but
No, I mean, well, yeah,
Tell
it is a
us.
big story. I'll try to keep that concise.
it's a long form podcast. Take your time.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and reveal my age, I guess. But I got onto my first public stage at 10, and then pretty much every single year of my life since I was 10, I've been on stage consecutively. And that's, you know, this year. I actually didn't think I was gonna make it on stage this year because of COVID and everything was shut down. And then like last minute November, I got a gig and I was like, okay, I can officially say it's been 25 years consecutively now. So yeah, huge. I don't know. I just felt very proud of myself for that. You know, it's kind of not something many people can say often. Like, yeah, I've been on stage for 25 years, you know, at 35. You know, but one thing that was really interesting about that, like I would say this is even cooler than me feeling proud of myself for that, was that I was like, oh, I realize I need to work on being proud of myself, but you know, like before, like not having to have 25 years of stage experience to be proud of myself. Like, I guess the coolest thing that came out of it was I got the awareness that really, like 25 years being on stage and now I can say I'm proud of myself. Like, I need to work on that.
Wow.
Like,
Damn. What a realization that must have been for you.
yeah, it was deep. It was super deep.
But are you proud of yourself now?
I'm very proud of that. I'm learning to be proud of myself with nothing.
What do you mean by nothing?
With nothing,
Like
doing nothing,
just as is, you
being
mean?
nothing, having nothing, like just, you know, I think high achievers, I know high achievers listening to this can relate. Like, it's this constant feeling of never doing enough, running out of time, late. I'm late on this. You guys have heard me say that twice today already on two things.
I remember.
It's this constant feeling of, like
You're behind.
I'm behind and I'm late and I'm not doing enough and I'm, you know, and so I think I'm learning to be cool with being human rather than superhuman all the time.
Damn. That was well said.
What
was your first stage experience? Do you remember?
Actually, it was, I grew up in a small town it's outside of a small town in the Thousand Islands called Maitland, Ontario. And
Thousand Islands?
Yeah.
I thought that was like salad sauce.
It is actually. There is Thousand Islands dressing. Yeah.
It's an actual place?
It is an actual place.
Oh, fuck. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a real place in Canada. I actually sadly think that the Thousand Islands dressing came from the American side of the Thousand Islands because it's split. Yeah. There's like sauce. A Canadian and American side, just like in Buffalo, how Niagara has two sides. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd like us to take credit for it, but like it's hard.
Canada's better.
Yeah. Canada's is better.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's a small town called Maitland, and my parents had like whatever, it's kind of in the country, and they had like a small house, and they built a deck at one point when they started making more money, and the deck straight up looked like a stage. And so I, with my neighbors, went around like the neighborhood and passed out these handwritten invitations, and all the neighbors brought their lawn chairs, and we straight up sold tickets and popcorn, made some bank.
Damn, Gary Vee would be proud of you.
Damn. Flip this whole shit.
10 years old?
Yeah, that was actually at 9 because the first public stage, like my parents were like, well, this is cool, but like, let's get you into this. And so then I stepped on my first public stage at 10.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
It was.
What was the
fun.
performance that you did?
Of the public one or the non?
No,
the
backyard
one.
Yeah.
It was
Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Close.
Oh, actually,
we called it Greta because it was Rapunzel, or what's the Hansel and Gretel. What's that one? The gingerbread.
Yeah.
So it was two girls acting, so we called it Gretel maybe.
Gretel.
Something like that.
Hansel and Gretel.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
And it was like a play or something?
Yeah, we just like reenacted whatever that story was. And then we did another one, I think the year before. Like, so we did 2, and then at like 10, there was this like professional production company, and they were like, okay.
Do you have any memorable, like really memorable performances throughout your career that you can highlight?
As a kid or as a
No, throughout
as
the whole
an adult?
25.
Oh, man.
The full quarter cent.
That's that's a real big question. I think the one that's coming to mind right now is so I really struggled with stage fright for a huge chunk of my career, like probably over 10 years for sure. It was just astonishing stage fright. And later we learned it was because I had complex PTSD, and like that was unmanaged, and it was just this thing it was like who you are on the stage is who you are off the stage. So if you have mental health problems off the stage, like you're going to bring that in your profession. So I really struggled with stage fright for a lot of years. And at one point, it's weird. Stage fright kind of, as far as I can tell from my research, it's manifests in sort of 2 main ways. One way is you're like terrified and you get on stage and you like fall flat on your face, and then you do something about that for next time. You're like, okay, cool. I'm gonna, figure out what I have to do to like succeed next time, or I'm not doing this because it's just not, my path. So that's one way it manifests. Another way it manifests, which is how it manifests for me, was I felt like hell before and after and crushed it on stage. Like always crushed it on stage, but had extreme amounts of anticipatory anxiety before, and then just felt like hell after and a failure and a fraud. So I had it before and after, and then on stage it was liberating.
Wow.
So you can imagine, like, I didn't have any incentive to change because I was always successful on stage, right? Because that's, I guess, how I define
the
success.
performance itself.
Always crushed it. So I lived with such terrible coping mechanisms, which turned into, problems, and the mental health problem just never went away. And eventually, I lost my voice and lost a record deal that I was in New York. For like a year, I had to stop teaching. Because I was coaching at the time too. And around that time, I got into vocal therapy. I had never taken vocal classes before. I just was self-taught. And got into vocal therapy. And then like after some time with her, she was like, yeah, no, you need to like go to a therapist.
Like your problem is bigger than
100%.
vocal,
Like, I just can't do this. And in therapy, so this is long story short, in therapy, I started to piece together, the mental health challenges that I was having and how that was affecting my professional world and what I needed to do to sort of get back on stage as a new person. And so the performance that's coming to mind right now is the first time I stepped on stage after like a year of therapy, thinking that I might never step on stage again, especially after I had just lost my voice.
Wow.
And just realizing that I could be completely imperfect and still be lovable.
Wow. Did not know that was
right.
going there. What a great story. That's a deep thing to learn. Honestly, I can't personally, I don't know if I can relate. And that's like the part I'm just trying to imagine, like what it would be like, because, I'm thinking, okay, like you're a stage performer and you're stage fright. Like that's a pretty big problem, right?
Ridiculous.
Like, if you're going to be a swimmer, like you can't be afraid of water, right? Like
you can't think there's sharks in the pool every time you jump in.
No.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, and see what's interesting about that is like, I think that's actually what perpetuated me from, from letting this there's a million reasons that this went on for so long, and it took me so long to get help. And one of them is like mental health just wasn't a conversation back in those days. But another reason was like in the performance industry, it was sort of like, and as a child, they're telling you things like, if you're too afraid to get on stage, then just get off. Someone else will take your spot. There was no healthy understanding of how to cope with fear or manage it. Like fear is human. This is not a thing that happens to the weak. Like we all have fear and we all will have fear for the rest of our lives. It will just come up at different times for different people in different contexts. So the way to manage fear isn't to say, I don't have fear, because then it'll turn into a monster that consumes your physical and mental health. You can't run from your fear because wherever you go, there you are. You can't, you can't deny your fear.
Or pretend
fight
it's
your
not
fear.
there.
Yeah, or pretend it's not there. You can't fight your fear, because if you fight your fear, you're fighting what it means to be human, because humans have fear. It's connected to our survival structure. That's just science.
One of the places that I heard Janey actually first probably talk about fear was in Inuvik, which is in the Northwest Territories, if anybody's wondering.
Yeah.
And
Inuvik.
To my memory, and I'm certainly hope my brain's not letting me down right now, but there are two kinds of fear.
Yes.
Do you mind illustrating them for
Yeah.
everyone at the table and
I'm
for
excited.
Yeah. This is one of my fave topics.
Please tell everyone.
So real fear and fake fear, basically. Like real threat and perceived threat. Real threat is I can almost promise you the CBD is kicking in.
No, for sure. I've been yawning so much.
Really?
I'm yawning like crazy. Yeah.
Do you want like
It's so good.
I love how you recognize that. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
20 minutes ago, and I was like, oh, I wonder if there's like, I sometimes carry coffee beans with me. Like people
just chew on it.
100%.
I was gonna say, do you want
Give
some
me a little
Forbos? I have the energy thing. You want some? I'll help you
I
out.
don't know. Maybe. I mean, yeah. I mean, fuck. I wish I took this at night.
I like, it was one of
I feel
those
like
things
it
where I was
actually hit me.
I want to stop it, but maybe
But you were
he
so
knows
excited
it-
to try it.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah,
like,
I know,
oh,
right?
he knows what he's doing. Like,
I
he
have
must
no idea what I'm doing.
Okay, I'm gonna
That's
get
the
that.
part you don't know about me.
Here's what I can say is that so I have made that mistake before too, and I'm like, oh, this is like making me really tired. Sometimes like it'll hit you, but then like there'll be like kind of a hump, and then you'll start to come back up.
Yeah, no, I'll be fine. Like, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to like cut you off by my
No,
yawn.
I could just I was having empathy for
I don't
it.
want to be rude. I was like, I can't control it. I can't. I need to keep yawning.
I was having empathy for it because I know that feeling. It's like I just want to be horizontal
No.
now.
It has nothing to do with you talking
No,
about
dude,
anything.
I get it.
Genuinely actually am interested in what you're saying.
No, I get it.
I just like I'm fighting for my life
Yeah.
with this CBD.
I
oil.
100%. So apparently you are a lightweight because that
I know that's what I said.
what
yeah.
you the amount you took, like I would be feeling it off of that. Like
100%.
I would be like very.
I actually can tell a difference now that you mention it.
Dude.
Like I definitely feel relaxed.
So if you struggle with insomnia, like I recommend this stuff.
I don't have insomnia. I just have struggles going to sleep.
Mm.
So that would probably definitely help me catapult me into like
Sleep state.
into the sleep state. Yeah,
Totally. Yeah. Like
Take 2 of those.
especially if you do it like
I'm gonna be up late.
20 minutes before bed. What is this?
Orbos, bulletproof energy production.
What's in it?
There's like a little interesting blend of stuff that adds a little pep to your step.
Ground rice flour, something I can't.
Man, we could
Describe.
definitely do a whole compilation of me yawning on this podcast. That'll be that's
At least you know this works.
yeah, no, right?
It's
CBD
true.
North, Janey
And now we're gonna see if
25.
this will work too. We're gonna get a free testing of 2 products.
But the thing is, I actually always yawn when we're doing podcasts. I don't know if you don't notice this,
I notice it, but I don't. Yeah, no.
but no, you don't know. I'm saying I yawn all
yeah.
the time. So, and I think I don't know why.
You're just relaxed,
I think whenever we're talking,
Of course.
I'm listening more because you usually have some like profound things to say as well, or like
Thank
he always goes deep into shit, and I'm like, it's not that boring. It's just that like I'm more calm.
What time of day do you guys usually do podcasts?
It's in the mornings.
Oh.
But like I guess
We
that
do
probably,
some afternoon stuff too. We
It's
have
like-
done a lot of like
yeah.
stuff that goes into this time at least.
yeah.
Sure.
That could be a possibility too, right?
For
if
sure
it's
it
like
is, yeah.
in the afternoon. Like
There's a little dip in the
it's
energy.
2 right now. Yeah, this is nap time, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People
But
are having
even-
siestas right now. fam. Yeah.
But even in the morning too, though, I guess like because like I already don't get like proper sleep, that definitely affects it too.
Totally.
So that's why I'm yawning all the time.
Do you drink coffee?
No, we never do. We stop.
we stop, but I mean, like, yeah, his issues are sleep more
Yeah.
than
It's
they
more
are.
of the actual like deep sleep that I
Yeah.
have issues with.
Do you drink alcohol?
No.
Okay,
No.
that'll fuck up your sleep for sure.
Yeah, I mean occasionally,
No,
once in a while,
we're
but not.
super clean on that. Yeah.
And if you if you have caffeine too late, like this,
Oh,
if this
yeah.
is caffeinated, like probably not the best time. But I get you're just trying to,
What time is it?
it's 2:40.
Oh, I'll be fine.
okay,
It wears off early for me.
can you actually pass me another boobler?
Boobler.
And Janey's gonna tell. Are you on another
Yeah,
one?
2 times. No, I'm good.
Oh.
This is my first.
So there's 2 types
2
of
times
fear.
And I'm
and
gonna
one
use
is
dating as an example, which is
oh, I
gonna be
love it.
full circle. Okay, I'm gonna take a sip.
Take a sip. So there's 2 kinds. One is real. One is perceived. And
Man,
we're
this
about
is
to
so
get
good.
our. It is good, right?
It's like orange crush without the sugar. Also, Zevia,
Yeah.
just
Ass.
you don't like it?
Straight ass.
Dude, I'm addicted to Zevia.
No, it's gross.
Yeah.
Have you had the root beer one?
Yeah. We tried them all. I think.
How do you guys not like? I feel like
That's the worst one.
I feel like it is root beer. Like I don't even remember what root beer tastes like.
Well, that's because root beer is so shit already.
They're so good, man.
Stevia, it's like you can't even tell the difference.
No, I'm saying Zevia. You've
Yeah,
had that,
Zevia,
right?
Zevia.
Okay.
Yeah,
what
like
did I
the-
say?
I'm shocked right now. I love
Yeah,
that
we used
shit.
to drink that all the time.
Let's
right?
get it from like
Why
healthy
don't you
Planet
like
and stuff.
that?
Well, but I think you know what it is. It's good the first few sips, but then it quickly loses its touch.
Which one do you have?
Well, we used to drink like all of them.
We tried all the
cra-
flavors.
Like,
Not
I
all
don't-
of them are good.
No, the lemon one's straight disgusting.
I've never had that. and
Don't
I'll never
ever
have
try
it.
it.
I
I
don't-
actually think
Don't
the
ever try
Coke
it.
one was the best one.
That
personally.
one's the best one.
Coke
The
one
Coke
is
one.
good. Is
I
good.
thought it was
Coke
the,
one's
that
not
was
bad.
good. Yeah.
I'll
It's
give you
got a
that.
little-
The
yeah.
orange
tastes-
wasn't bad actually.
You know what the Coke one tastes like? The vending machine outside of Walmart, 99-cent colas.
I've
PC
never had
Cola.
that.
PC cola, like
But
worse than that.
RC
But like,
Cola.
yeah, RC cola. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Maybe you just have to forget what pop
Pop
tastes
is?
like,
So-
and then
Well, that's very hard considering I
I
used
was
to
gonna
drink a lot
say.
when I was younger.
That's what I'm saying. You're talking to a guy who's been sugar addicted. So
Yeah.
it's naturally Zevia is
Good
like.
on you
know.
for giving it up, though. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
that's,
it's been years.
I mean, like this, we just.
Well, I mean, no, I'm fine. Yeah, but like, yeah, just take it. I've been triggered this whole time.
CBD, now this, now Ferrero.
There's so much
Rocher.
stimulation in my body.
You know what'll wake you up? A spritz of the Abercrombie cologne.
Probably.
Right in the eyes. No, don't do it.
Oh my
It'll
god!
give
You
me a
want to know the
headache.
worst story ever, and then I'll tell the fear story. When I was 15, I got like super high with my friends at her her parents' house. Her parents had just left for the night. We smoked a big fatty.
Nice baseball bat.
I was absolutely on 11, and all of a sudden, her parents come home. All of a sudden, oh yeah, have you guys ever
No,
seen? Okay, I'm just gonna leave it.
What are you talking about?
The OGs out there know what on 11 is.
What is that?
Oh my god, this is rough because I can't even remember the name now.
Is it a movie?
Yeah, it's called.
Oh.
So everyone that does get this reference is shaking their head right now because I
Yeah.
can't remember the fucking.
Maybe if you Google it, you probably find out what it
For
is.
sure, for
On
sure.
Googler?
It's the most famous
Here, tell me what we're looking at.
mockumentary about a band, about a British band.
It's a movie?
Dude, this is like my
No,
brain is
what would I
blank
Google
right now.
Yeah, what would I Google?
Say on
Just
11.
just on 11.
Phrase.
On 11 quote, and then it'll show you
Yeah.
the name of the movie.
Phrase or
This
saying.
is
Or,
bad that I can't remember it.
Stranger Things?
is
On
it, is
11?
Definitely not
This,
that.
it's the stevia. Or stevia.
I literally wrote on 11, like O-N. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, on 11, like the number.
On 11.
movie.
I'm so sorry. Does this all have to be edited later?
No,
We're
it's
it's
not.
not. It's all raw. Raw and authentic.
What is the name?
Like
of the
my
movie?
body.
This is I'm like so ashamed right now.
It's
Anyway,
okay. Anyway.
so
So-
I smoked this Gagger. Her parents
Gagger.
come home.
You're just dropping bombs every 2 seconds.
I don't know, Google's not showing me
Rockville
nothing.
lingo.
I know, right? Just donging and banging, you know?
Donors.
So like her parents come home and I'm in the bathroom and I can hear them outside. There's like 5 of us and I can hear them outside like in the house being like, we're gonna like let's smell everyone's breath. Like they were checking to
Oh
see
my
if we were
God.
drinking and shit.
That's
Dude,
terrible.
I see fucking that like a body spray or whatever. It's called
Axe?
what the fuck is
Tag.
it called? Starts with a C.
We had tag. That
It's
was
not
bullshit.
cargo. It's like something like that.
Cologne?
No.
It's for chicks. it's like in the little plastic bottle.
Cialis.
I can't even remember the name of it. See, I can't remember shit right now.
Damn.
Anyway, I
Okay.
spray it in my fucking mouth.
No way. That's
Just
so
out of
funny.
desperation?
Just out of desperation.
That's
And
hilarious.
did it work?
Yeah, I come out and they're like, "Hey, Janey," and I'm like, "Dude, I wanted to die." It tasted like,
Ass.
Yeah, like metal garbage.
just like elastic band liquid.
Ugh,
like,
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
was rough, dude. But I didn't get caught, so
What's
That's it,
up?
baby.
Town of
That's pretty
Maitland.
sick.
a G.
Kicking
That's a
around
pretty
a
G.
thousand
It is
islands.
a G move.
Okay,
100%.
so
fear.
back to the fear.
Okay, perceived fear, fake fear. Or sorry, perceived threat, real threat. So your amygdala, it's a space in it's a part of your brain that senses danger and sets off all these alarm bells, triggers your nervous system to fight, flight, freeze. I tried to keep the science so quick just so you didn't get another yawn in before I finish. And
That's good.
so when you're in danger, like if someone's rolling up with a piece, on the street, like
Piece is a gun.
yeah, they're packing and they're rolling up on you and you're in, alone and it's dark. Like your amygdala is going to be like, this is a problem. Like this is not a good situation. You're going to feel all this physiological and psychological manifestations of fear. And, your heart's going to beat faster. Your body's going to be flushed with adrenaline. Your brain is going to be, your mind is going to be thinking all of these stories so that you can, come up with something to get you out of the situation. Like worst case scenario assumptions and just bigger picture, everything is a threat here, right? So you're gonna, all of these like physiological and psychological manifestations that occur in real threat are super healthy and super important to help you get out of danger. Even if you don't make it, at least you tried, right? The problem is that the amygdala, when it perceives threat, even when it's not life-threatening, that same physiological and psychological response happens. So if you're wanting to go ask a girl on a date and that's scary to you, like your amygdala so what happens with people when it comes to stage fright and when it comes to relational fear, it's almost always around the fear of rejection. And that's really real because rejection could threaten our livelihood also. Like if you look at our need for connection, it's neurobiologically hardwired in us from time of birth till time of death for survival. And that's from an ancestral standpoint, but it's also from a this lifetime standpoint. So like from an ancestral standpoint, like, and I'm sorry, I'm going kind of deep on this, but it's like when we were hunter and gatherers and we, you know, needed to hunt and jump off 100-foot trees to survive. we needed to, obviously we needed each other to do that. No man could survive on their own. And so if you ever got shunned or shamed away from a tribe, you knew you were dead. Now, when we're born and we're a baby and we're a blob and we can't take care of ourselves, we rely on the attachment of the grown-up to feed us, to bathe us, to change our diaper, blah, 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 right? So we develop this dependency on, or this, let's say this intrinsic need for connection based on not only our ancestors and how we used to survive as a human species, but also from how we survived this life growing up. It doesn't go away just because we're then now able to take care of ourselves. So when it comes to getting on stage or let's say asking someone on a date, the fear of rejection comes up because connection is actually so important to our survival. Now, it doesn't always come up in every context, but it's often there for most people, let's say. I think that's a fair thing to say. So your amygdala goes, oh shit, I have to approach this human being who could reject me, which could lead to shame and disconnection, which could threaten my survival. Like this is the chain of events.
And I might not reproduce.
Sure, like all of the things that could be possible, 100%.
Yeah.
And so when the amygdala senses that, it sees it as a danger, and all of these same physiological and psychological manifestations occur, even though you aren't going to die in that moment if you were to get rejected by that person that you were going to ask on a date. And this is probably potentially why these dating apps are so harsh, you know, when people aren't finding success with matches and stuff, because it's an essence of rejection. Like you can interpret it as rejection. Like
little tiny micro ones over and
like
over
a
and
slow
over
death
and
of them.
Slow death.
Yeah. You know?
Wow.
So the two types of fear are based on perceived threat and real threat. And technically they're all perceived threat. Every threat you perceive is a perception. But one of them could kill you instantly and the other couldn't, right? And where I do my work as a coach and with my Fierce Academy business is I teach people what to do with the fear responses physiologically and psychologically when the amygdala is perceiving threat and it's not actually risking your life or your well-being.
So what could you do? Let's say you're in that scenario and you don't want to get rejected from a date or asking someone out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sadly, there's no sort of quick fix or easy answer. What it comes down to is a lot of work outside of the performance environment. So when we talk about the performance environment, it's like the moment you're going to go on stage or the moment you're going to ask the person on a date, right? The work kind of has to be done outside of that environment. And a lot of the work requires self-acceptance. Because even if that person accepts you, if they accept you for someone that you're not, you might as well just be rejected.
Because it's not actually you who's being accepted. I get what you're saying.
Exactly. And so it's like rejection sucks. It'll suck no matter what, but it'll suck less if you're accepting the thing in yourself that you're being rejected for. You know what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
Wait, what?
So like, I know it's kind of like a riddle or something the way I said that, but like, it's like, so think about this. If you have a belief about yourself that let's say that incites shame. So let's say you have something that you're ashamed of, and someone comes up to you and they like call you out on this thing that you're already rejecting in yourself. It's going to take you to your knees straight up, right? But if you've done self-work on your shame and you have come to a place where you're able to hold space for your flaws and your imperfections and the things about you that you think are unacceptable, if you're able to hold space for that and accept that, then when someone rejects you for that, it's not going to feel as bad. It'll hurt still,
right?
But it won't take you to your knees. And the other thing that I was saying in conjunction with that is that like rejection sucks no matter what, but acceptance doesn't feel fucking so hot when you're being accepted for the thing that you're pretending to be.
Oh yeah, true.
Right?
It doesn't feel as genuine.
It's actually worse.
It's almost worse because then you have to
you
upkeep
feel guilty.
a
You feel guilty.
facade.
You feel guilty.
Right.
And it's a facade,
and you have to continually abandon yourself to be accepted by this thing.
Yeah.
So the work outside of the, let's call it the performance environment, is really deeply rooted in self-acceptance, and there's all kinds of things that go along with that in terms of like phases and transformations you can go through. But inside the performance environment, honestly, one of the best tools to calm down your fear and your physiological response is belly breathing. Like literally
And that
deep,
being different from what kind of breathing?
so deep belly breathing, specifically slow, deep, elongated belly breathing, triggers the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the side of the nervous system that elicits the relaxation response in your body. The counterpart is what the amygdala incites. So when the amygdala is like, oh, there's a threat, the sympathetic nervous system, so the part of your nervous system that incites fight, flight, freeze, flushes your body with all these, fear responses, and then your mind as well. Belly breathing counters that. So it triggers the part of the nervous system that is literally the opposite.
So I feel
of the
so
fear
good after
response.
meditation, probably.
Yeah, totally.
So what's the opposite of, or what are people doing that's not deep belly breathing that's causing this physiological response that you're talking
Well,
about?
the physiological responses will be incited naturally. Like it's almost not like you don't necessarily have the ability to like stop your nervous system from having a sympathetic response when you're afraid initially. Like that initial fear response is not necessarily preventable, but once it happens,
you do.
Yeah. And when that fear response occurs, like chest breathing and rapid shallow breathing
That's
is
what I was probably getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the sort of the standard or whatever.
Do you feel that people, for the most part, even day to day, for whatever reason, nowadays breathe up here too much?
I
as
think
it is?
everyone does. Yeah. Everyone breathes there.
I feel it.
I feel it for sure.
You too?
Yeah.
Like you feel like do you ever, I don't know, like it's not like
too.
chest tightness, but I feel like
I feel like shortness of breath almost. It's not shortness of breath, but it's
I feel like I want to open my rib cage like this, like I want to take my,
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I totally
Yeah.
feel that way too.
do you have any like, I don't know if this is different from the fear stuff, but like
it's all
how
the
now I'm really interested, like how do we not do that anymore, Janey Brown?
I mean, okay, the human body is complex and everybody's body is different, like the way that you're structured and how, your, let's say your neurological patterns from a fear response standpoint, all of that plays a role. What you do, like what type of exercise you do. Like for many years I was a kickboxer, and so my chest was super tight because I was
kickboxing?
constantly, yeah,
That's cool. Okay. Didn't
yeah,
know that.
fuck people up.
got my black belt. But
Damn.
But my coach always
You
said,
really did kick
your black belt covers 1 inch of your ass. It's up to you to cover the rest. Meaning, if you stop training, like,
Oh.
what is
Damn.
what
I
does it
like
really
that.
mean?
I never
Yeah.
heard that. That's a good one.
And I
good
did
one.
stop training. So,
Yeah.
Got it.
but
Okay.
I could definitely throw down. So, depending on what you do, will depend on like whether your pec muscles are tight and whether it's just sort of commonplace for you to constantly live up here with your breath. Is your diaphragm is connected to your T12, like, if your spine is misaligned, that could affect your diaphragm's ability to drop down, which can affect your ability to get these deep lung breaths. So, I mean, all of it plays a role. I think the best we can do is, start to practice belly breathing and learn about our own anatomy and sort of see, the areas that we need work. Like, is my diaphragm locked and I can't even, I'm trying to belly breathe, but I can't even do that. Okay. Like, let me maybe go see an intrinsic core specialist and see what they can, or, a physio or something, and see if they can help me, or maybe you're naturally able to breathe into your belly. Okay. Well, maybe I just need to practice that more,
Would you say that people are in this kind of like perpetual state of like breathing and tightness because of like this constant fear response?
Yes, absolutely. In certain industries, it's called sympathetic overdrive. And
I don't know that.
it's basically like, I mean, I would almost like, I'm going to make a bold claim, but it's like in North America in 2021, I would imagine that many, if not most people are in sympathetic overdrive. And the interesting thing about that is if you're in sympathetic overdrive for long enough, it can actually feel like you're like the opposite of what a fear response is. So you could actually feel like lethargic and tired and exhausted all the time because you're burnt out. So
I know that feeling.
yeah, me too.
I think we all know that one.
Yeah.
Okay, that
Yeah.
explains a lot.
Dopey.
That really and sympathetic overload for just whoever's listening, like
Overdrive. Yeah,
overdrive.
it just means that, and I like full disclosure, I don't know if that's actually an official term. It's just a term that we've used in the industry a bunch, but it's when the sympathetic nervous system is constantly active. So if just to like, because I kind of rushed over that, and now that we're like talking about it, I'll slow down. Like the autonomic nervous system has two components. One is the sympathetic nervous system, fight, flight, freeze. The other is the parasympathetic nervous system, rest, digest, relax. It's, you know, because we live in a fast-paced, high-achieving, you know, more, social media, always be on, capitalism,
mentality.
hustle every day. Like, what would David Goggins do?
I know, yeah. Just casually sitting behind me.
Stay
What would
hard.
Goggins
As
do?
much as military, you know, seriously though, military inspiration really helps me in different contexts. But it is important to note that, like, in what context? In the context of survival? Well, yeah. But in the
Right.
context of every single day, all day, like,
Damn.
maybe not, right? So, yeah, I would argue that, like, probably more often than a lot of us know, we're in sympathetic overdrive. And the problem is that it becomes the new norm. So we're not necessarily, like, even if we feel normal and not stressed, that could still be in a more overdrive state than like what homeostasis would be, or ideally be for you.
And
And,
so you're saying, like,
homeostasis being like the balance of
And your
nervous-
baseline is changing to you feeling like this is now you.
Yeah.
And it's just how you feel now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And
Yeah.
you don't even know that, like, all these little tiny moments have been adding up to you just being in this constant state of, like, I feel like it's like a button that you've just pressed and it can't come back. It's like depressed literally too much, you know?
But you can't, but you can come back. That's the good news, is like,
Okay, so there's
It
a
takes-
light at this tunnel.
yeah, you can
That's
like,
good.
yeah, you can burn yourself out. You can drain your adrenals, like, for sure. You can have constant chronic cortisol influx, but you can definitely work to come back from that. I mean, I can't claim that for everyone because I don't know what, you know, there's lots of different
Severity.
diseases. Yeah, exactly. But I do think that, you know, even when it's severe, I think that there is a path back. It's just putting one foot after the other. It's not going to happen overnight. You know, and it's just about taking one step at a time, you know, unwinding the tightly coiled, like, high strung sort of.
It's like just like ready to
People we are.
pop. If I remember correctly, did you take like a month or something off phone, electronics, social media? Maybe not even recently. I remember it from before. Am I remembering that right?
Yeah, it was in, I think this year it was in May, around May.
And what did you, like, you go off it for like a whole month, or what's like your,
Yeah, I did.
what exactly do you do?
Honestly, like, it wasn't planned. It was just this thing I just knew I had to do. My mental health was really bad at that time. It was very problematic. And it was just one of those things where I was like, I was trying everything to put it into remission, and I just couldn't figure it out. And I just thought, you know, fuck this shit. Like, this might not fix me, but at very least, you know, me getting off of social will mitigate some of the problems. And, you know, at very least, I won't have to, like, produce a persona every day to just keep, you know, serving others or whatever.
I asked because I've done something similar to that. I just didn't go full off. I just kind of went like 99% off, but like just like remaining. So I feel like I have the effect, and I'm experiencing, as you were saying that, I was thinking to myself, like, how I felt when I was like this tightly wound, like as you were describing it, and unwinding it over time through like, sure, I started like somewhat cold turkey. I was like, all right, I should go much less, and then I can like maintain or something like that. But I saw myself come back.
Yeah.
To your credit. And that's why I was saying, like, going a month off, or I don't know, how long would you go off? Something like a month?
I went off for a month. Like, it felt whatever. I didn't know how long I was going to be off. Like, I really had to go into full blown, like, treatment and,
Yeah.
you know, I don't mean like I wasn't
No, I get
committed. I just mean, and whatever, like no judgment. It just, I had my treatment strategies and my team, and like, I just had to really just put all the focus into that. And so I didn't really have a plan about when I was going to come back. It was just sort of like.
But did you feel yourself like unwinding?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No. I mean, it was, I definitely hit some darker places. It wasn't like, okay, and now I'm fucking better.
Of course.
Right. It was like, I was on my way down when I left, but I mean, it's not like going off of social was the solution. It was just, it was just one less thing I had to think about. Let's just put it that way. It was just, and so, yeah, luckily I had already been struggling for months. And so I luckily when I went off, it was like, it seems like it was just at the tail end of whatever cycle I was in at that time. And in terms of my mental health, and then, a month later I was like, okay, I think I can come back. And then
one of the things that we work on with him is like he has this fear of like, what will happen if we don't post for a week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then like, so when was the last time he took a week off or 2 week or month off or something like
March of 2020.
That was the last time.
Yeah.
Really?
Was it a whole month?
Month, yeah.
Did you feel yourself like, because
it was completely changed everything for me.
What happened?
Well, that was the time when I was at my lowest pretty much in terms of where I was in my self growth. My career was better than like previous years, but even that, like it was lacking. So decided to take a month off. That was when COVID hit. And I finally got time to just be at home and not do anything else. Because I was always out on the road and like doing shit and eating bad and sleeping bad and being around the wrong people, all this bullshit. So I took a month off, to his credit, and with no social media. I didn't even check my phone really at all, and it was great. I loved it. I didn't even miss it really, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't miss like doing comedy or like being the funny.
Yeah, that's a complete different thing.
It's different. Yeah, I didn't miss social media in itself. And then it really boosted me after that. Ever since then, that started to blow up pretty much.
Do you not feel like you're tightly wound of some kind too? Like, so I'll give you a little context, Janey, and everybody's listening. Like, this is a person who, she's a Gary Vee fan too, by the way. So we'll
Gary.
We'll toss a couple of these fucking here. I'll just hit you with one right now. Ready for this one?
TikTok.
But that's not the real Gary Vee. It's
TikTok.
Dude, your vocal impressions are insane. Like insane.
Thank you.
I just don't get it. Like how you can just nail
I don't get it.
every single voice. It's just amazing.
Honestly, sometimes sometimes I surprise myself too.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't know I could do this.
Yeah, like where the fuck did you get the UK bruv? Like,
I have no idea.
How did you learn that one? I like, dude, like sometimes like I've watched a couple of those because I actually love that accent.
Yeah,
and,
it's my favorite.
Right?
I love it.
Especially in music. I
Yeah,
love
drill.
UK hip hop. And so I watched a couple and I was like, man, like I don't even know what's going on anymore. That's how deep you are. Like you nailed it so hard that I don't even get some of this because it's like so like
I know it's so of the
so
culture.
specific.
reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. It's
I
amazing.
don't know. Like I said, I was telling you off. You good with that?
Yeah, constantly
Yeah,
fidgeting.
figuring it.
I'm
Yeah.
the same way. Yeah.
Off the camera, off the record, we were talking about noticing small details. This is where it comes in handy.
I was thinking about that when you said that.
I'm as a creative, as an artist, and you can obviously relate to this. We tend to notice the smaller nuances in things, and not just people, just objects or life in general, and that's what helps me be more specific with everything. Because I just notice things that a lot of people don't notice off the bat. I notice it off the bat,
Right.
and it's so easy for me to just like replicate that, but other people can't do that. But like they'll know it when it happens, when someone else does it. But like they themselves can't even process what's happening, until they see it.
Right.
So, but I'm that person who will
Right.
bring it out, bring it to light.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can so see, and it's a real art of yours, like the impressions and the different accents and stuff. It's really cool.
And like the thing is, I love doing all that stuff, but it's like I'm not just limited to that stuff either. There's other shit I love doing too, which I still I'll continue to do. But naturally, my brain just goes towards that stuff every day for some reason, and like I don't get bored of it. It's like like every day when we talk too, like even him, like we'll just bust out in accents. Like it's just how we were growing up, like
It's true.
just without the camera.
Yeah.
But now it's on camera. That's all it is. And a lot
That's a
of
good
people who
point.
grew up around not just GTA, but like around different cultures, you're used to mimicking other people's cultures and accents and voices and mannerisms. I think just naturally humans are gravitated towards that for some reason. They like to imitate each other.
For sure.
I think that actually is a thing. I don't know if it's true or not, but in biology or like human biology, I feel like mimicking another thing or culture
totally.
is like a thing. It's like a mating thing almost. Like
It's also a survival tactic.
That too, yeah.
Yeah. You want to sort of look like you're part of the tribe, so you can stay in the
Fit
tribe
in.
and stay. Yeah, for sure. And this is why, like, if you hear like there's, I think there was actually one example I can think of is like Lindsay Lohan spent a ton of time in Paris. I can't remember how long ago. And in her interviews, you can hear her accent is a Parisian accent, straight up.
oh really?
And people made fun of her for that. And I was thinking, like, have you ever lived in another country and then not
Yeah, not picked
adopted
up.
anything? Like,
That's so true.
who knows what was up with that? I'm just saying that, like, I think it's actually more common than we think. And
For sure it
people
is.
were like, oh, she's just trying to put on or whatever. But
Think about how you copy
it up.
people in the first few minutes of meeting them and you like them, and all of a sudden
Right.
you're mimicking
Yeah.
their body language.
Exactly.
You're mimicking like
Their
they touch their
slang.
face, you touch theirs.
yeah,
It's very interesting.
Their speech, their slang, all that stuff.
right.
Yeah, what they say, like catchphrases, like it's all natural. But yeah,
Well, I remember what I was going to say now. Speaking of copying people, we're talking about Gary Vee and his
V.
Gary. And so one of the things that we took away from him that he's implemented into his what has, I think, created so much of the success, but also what I'm going to eventually ask if you think it's maybe like something that could eventually, everything is too much of anything,
Yeah.
right? Like we've talked about it our whole lives. So Gary, for whatever he says, I don't know, 7 years, replies to every tweet on Twitter, like whatever his famous. And I fucking believe it, right? Like you can also, there's actually an archive of it. You can go look at it. It's actually amazing. He literally replied to every single person, but he put in the time. So to whatever. So he's trying to do the same thing. So he's on Instagram, and you can't insert everybody anymore. Like we've surpassed
So
that point
hard.
now. It's been,
Yeah,
it's
no.
been
It's
maybe
Fucking
Right.
insane.
it's been at least maybe a year, if not more of this at this point,
Pretty
maybe
much.
something like that. But anyways, besides the point. So he sits down, I don't know what, at least an hour a day, I would say.
Who, me?
Yeah, at least an
Yeah.
hour, just smashing comments, replying to people, interacting.
More
And,
sometimes, yeah.
and it's like fantastic. Don't get me wrong. Like it's like, what else would you do that would be more valuable than talking to the people who are giving you the reason we're all here for watching whatever? But do you not think that it gets like, I don't know,
Draining?
man. Like at the end of the night when I go to bed, like oftentimes my phone is like at 70% battery. So it wasn't always like this. It wasn't always
Imagine.
like this, but now I just,
Imagine.
you're probably, throughout the day on it so much every single day in perpetuity. Like I can't relate to that, but I'm putting myself in that position thinking like, I'm going to be on this phone
Yeah.
replying to people. Like I can't even build that scenario in my
you would
brain.
never do that.
It's too far from what I would feel like is possible. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm asking the question, like, how would it, do you feel like you need more time off? Like, I don't know, like, I'm
Yeah, and
curious.
like, how would you do that? Like,
You
what's
get what I'm
what would the
Yeah, I
game
know.
plan be? I guess.
Well, no, I
Yeah.
mean, first of all, actually, I'm surprised because my phone never dies until like I'm going to sleep.
Which is amazing because it's cracked 100.
I was just gonna say, look
Yeah.
at this fucking thing.
It's still cracked every week, as you guys can tell, or maybe not, but but yeah. Yeah, I mean, I prefer not to be on social media as much as I am.
Right.
I,
Why is that? Like, just straight up.
Because I'd rather I'm like you guys. Like I prefer more human connection than not.
Yeah.
I'm a very physical person in general. Like I feed off energies, and I am a physical guy too. Like not just like romantically, but like platonically. I love hugs and like being around people and like touchy feely and handshakes and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I like that more than like being so disconnected. Like luckily I have that as well, but I'm just saying I'd rather have that more if possible than because like right now I'm mostly am on social media or just online a lot. So it does get draining at times, but now it's gotten into a routine where like I just expect it to happen and I'm used to it, and it's fine. Like it's fine, but I want to get to a point where I don't have to do it myself, like for as long. Like
Yeah.
if I have more help, it will be much easier. So it's just a matter of time, really.
Yeah, that
But-
makes sense.
I mean, also we're at a time where everything's online and digital. So in a way, you just have to like kind of go with it. You can't not do it, otherwise you're gonna fall off. So, and I'm not willing to fall off.
What's interesting is somebody like Rogan who talks about comments. He doesn't even look at his. He does that for years. He's like, I don't even look anymore.
But
It's
yeah,
like
he hasn't had to though.
but certainly not. Yeah, like it's a completely different context. Like that
Yeah.
kind of about person does it, but like this is a person who's on the complete
Yeah,
opposite side. Especially like I want to see them and reply to them and build out this community thing.
Well,
but
I actually care too. Like I do. I actually care though. I do care, and I do appreciate when I see comments, and I can't wait to post more so I can see more comments. Not just like the number, but like the people, and see what kind of people are commenting or what they're commenting. I'm genuinely curious to see what they think, or it's natural feedback for me, right?
And there's a lot of recurring people, right? So you get to see the same
regulars,
names, and they you know.
I like in there a little bit.
That's true. We see some. I see some of your stuff
I see
too.
Janey here and there.
Tags me a little bit in the Toronto man stuff.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I heard that's your favorite stuff.
Oh, she loves it. By the way, I can't believe we didn't talk about it yet.
That's probably why you like the UK ones too.
Let me see if we
Oh
have.
yeah,
one of
yeah.
those
There's
songs.
definitely
similar.
some crossover version.
Yeah.
What-
We have
it's-
one of
I
those?
think it's because it reminds me of us being on tour. Like we just had so many good laughs about Toronto
We
Mans
did,
and like
yeah.
all like other videos that we would see, and so it's like an inside joke.
That's funny.
Every turn of the corner. Yay. Okay. Actually, we have a sound.
You're blessed, man. Yo, are you dumb?
Toronto man.
Mans are beacon, fam. So, yeah, I mean,
Loves it.
yeah. So anyway, for the comments thing, like, I think it's also important to build a community, like just like Gary Vee has, and I genuinely care about that. So, I mean, it's not about the comments; it's about the whole thing.
Big time.
Comments is a big part of the whole career path.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's fueling my career, because without the people watching and without them being more engaged and me getting more views and more traction, then how is my career going forward? So in order to do that, you have to connect with your audience more and make them more inclined to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And in their comments boost my engagement, therefore showing my shit to more people. And that's what I value. And so therefore I don't hate commenting, but I'd rather do it less sometimes. But
like one thing
I think. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
I was just gonna say, I think I get, from what you're saying, like the bigger picture is like you value quality time and physical touch, which is in-person connections, and that would, that just shouldn't replace like what,
No, definitely
which
not.
makes sense. And it also makes sense what you're saying, when you asked him like, how do you kind of do the commenting thing so often? It does make sense that it's like this bigger picture of building a community and like what that means, like what it represents versus just the act of it. And yeah, I think it's valuable.
yeah, and also I'm just weird like this, but I sometimes I love seeing people's profiles. Like I'm like curious to see who's writing this shit.
Yeah, that's
Like,
totally normal.
what they look like, who they are, what they do, and I'm like what, just to get a sense of what kind of person follows me
for sure.
too. So that's also a big part of it, and why I'm on it as much is that takes up time too. It's like obviously I'm looking through people's stuff, girls, guys, whatever. But yeah,
You would have such a fun time coaching comedians. They're just like some of them, I should say. They have a bad rap. Actually, Andrew Packer talked about this a few episodes ago. Like, there's just like,
it's bitterness.
plague of like bitterness and like, let's just all be poor and sleep on couches and be in our own filth.
talk
It's like, it
shit,
doesn't have to be that way, right? Like,
Yeah, like you don't have to be a starving artist.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah.
Or a suffering
I know.
artist. Yeah.
do you feel like this is
100%.
like a common thing, or it's like a syndrome of some kind, even, or like any?
I think amongst artists in
common,
general,
yeah.
there's this like stigma of like the starving artist or the struggling artist. And like there's truth to that. Like it's not easy being an artist. Like straight up, you're going to struggle, straight up, you're going to suffer, and you're not going to be rich right away,
If at all.
The majority. Yeah, if at all. But definitely I think like from the music angle, there's we have to be really careful that we're not using that only to create, because we can send ourselves into some serious perpetual misery.
Oh, for sure.
If we're only creating songs or like only using our pain to be like turning our pain into productivity. I think sometimes pain just needs to be tears and not productivity.
Exactly.
But I will say like,
that's
and
well said.
I want to hear your views on the comedian side of things, but I feel like I will say like my heart goes out to comedians for the, on the bitterness side, like not necessarily them creating their own persona around, oh, I should be shitty and sleeping on floors and stuff, but just like if there's bitterness because of this constant expectation, for them to be who they are every single second, like I do have compassion for that. I think that sucks.
Yeah. Well, same thing with musicians too. I know how it is. But with comedians, there's a victim mentality of oh man, like I don't know, like it's like you almost want to just make people feel bad for you because you're so starving, you know. I kind of felt that too, honestly, at the beginning, in a way. But also I had a different mindset going into this whole thing because I was never like that in with the comedy community from the very beginning. I kind of like just kind of kept to myself. Like I was friends with everybody, but I didn't hang around after shows with comedians. I always just did my shit, went back home, worked on more stuff, got ready for the next show, next performance, next whatever. And I think that really helped me separate myself from majority of comedians that are around now, because when you start hanging around too many comedians all the time, you can see the downward spiral of mindset and just habits and productivity, especially. They're very lazy. A lot of them are lazy, and they rely on their jokes on stage to like take them places. But like, and a lot of them think, oh, they're like, a lot of the most common thing in comedy and stand-up comedy, people say is only 1% of comedians make it. It's the most common thing I've ever heard, like throughout my whole career. Every comedian says that. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, nah, like there's no fucking way. Like I'm not gonna let that happen. Like, well, if anything, I'm gonna be the 1% because I'm not doing this to not make it to the 1%. And this is before I even had any of like coaching or anything from him or people around me. Like naturally, I just felt it in me this whole time. And now I realize it's just because the people who are telling themselves that the 1% make it are never going to make it because they were making it so hard on themselves. It's like, oh, like this is a tough game. Only 1% people make it. Like none of you guys will make it. Like you're manifesting yourself to fail.
Such an easy excuse to hang on to.
Yeah, and that's what makes they think it's like, oh, I'm a badass or I'm a hard ass. I'm a tough comic or whatever. I'm a seasoned vet. It's like because I'm saying this or some shit.
Yeah, my pain is why that
pain. Yeah, it's like the more pain you have, the better comedian you are. The more famous you're gonna get. I'm like, that's not true. That's definitely not true.
That's
actually something wrong with that.
Yeah, that's actually a problem.
Big time.
Yeah, it's like
a victim mentality.
Totally. Totally, it's like one-upping suffering or something.
Yeah,
like,
that's the worst.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm worse.
No, my pain was worse.
Yeah.
Like, what a terrible game to start playing with yourself.
And then, you know what's funny? Out of all the comedians I've met in my entire life, I could genuinely say that I probably have the least problems, and I'm doing the best out of all of them. And I'm not even trying to brag. I'm just being like, the proof is here.
Yeah.
But what did I do differently? What did you guys do different, right? So it's like there's no excuse here.
Yeah.
It's like if I can do it, you guys can do it too. It's just they don't want to because they're so stuck on their ways of being bitter and like this person's shit or oh, this person doesn't deserve to do 5 minutes here. I should suck this guy's dick to get 5 minutes of stage time and kill on stage because I think I'm the funniest. And they just talk a lot behind their backs and it's a lot of gossip. It's very high school cliquey. And I got away from that luckily early on.
Big time, luckily. That's sounds, I mean, it sounds toxic. I think there's definitely like some crossover I see in the musician world versus the comedian world. It's maybe slightly different in that like it's different and it's not different. There's a lot of similarities. I actually, in my journal earlier this week, I wrote down this sentence and I was thinking about all the like ups and downs I've had like in my career. Like sometimes you're on top and sometimes you're just not. And I just wrote down the sentence like don't get attached to being on top, because if you get attached to being on top, you're not going to be able to handle when you're not on top. But then I kind of followed up with don't get attached to being the underdog, because it's almost fucking way easier to get attached to being the underdog than it is to being on top, especially if you've been in the game for 25 years. Like, you know what I mean? For real. Like it's like I've seen so many fucking darks and lows and hells that like, I can't even fucking begin to describe it. But it's almost a comfort zone because you have to go through struggle. But so like we have to be mad careful that we don't get attached to that.
100%, because you're limiting your own self and your beliefs. Yeah. And you're never going to grow that way and get to where you want to. And then you're going to be blaming it on other people. This whole time it's like, this person doesn't deserve it because I'm funnier or this, but I'm like, it doesn't matter if you don't work hard or work smart. The work ethic matters a lot more.
Yeah, you're so right about that in terms of work ethic, for sure.
And just being resourceful.
Yeah.
And using your surroundings to help you. Like
Well,
I think help is very underrated too.
I was
I'm-
just saying that to him.
Every single video I've done, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's not all from my own creation. Like in terms of like, from start to finish, it's been my own everything, written, filmed, whatever. I've gotten so much help from my friends, from my peers, from other comedians, like to ask them what would work better here, or what do you think is funnier this way or that way. I've done that so many times. That's why the videos are doing so much better, because I'm getting help.
Right.
So, and I'm not ashamed of that. I think it's powerful to do that. And so if you switch your mindset to that, it's so much more freeing, first of all, but also there's way better chance of you growing and being more successful that way if you just get more help. I think help, and any aspect in life, actually, that I think that applies.
Big time. I can super relate to that. And I was just telling Omid, like, I think one of the most exhausting things is, at least for me, where I feel like I get burnt out, is just getting so tired of doing every single thing myself. And I think, yeah, you know, I don't think that I can make an excuse and say, well, it's like I have lots of people who love me and lots of, you know what I mean? It's if I'm doing it all by myself, it's probably because I'm too afraid to ask for help. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And
You know?
you'll never know your potential if you don't.
yeah, and it's so necessary. You will run out of steam if you're just doing it on your own.
100%.
What's like
Yeah.
confusing, not even confusing, maybe sad more than anything, that like when we don't ask for help is that we miss the part where the other person also really wants to give the help.
Exactly. And they want to be a part of it.
They want to feel needed.
Yeah.
Right? Like I should say that. I like to, like, when other people ask me stuff, I'm like I of course I want to help, right? Like how could I do more? And you're almost like now like doing too much. Like it's like, but for whatever reason, I can't, not that I can't, I less often than not remember my own feeling when people ask me, and remind myself, like, yeah, but you feel excited when people come to you for help. Do the same thing for other people. Allow them to be a part of that part of the process too. Like, don't rob people of that experience, because that's kind of like a, you know, like you want other people to come to you and you want to feel like
Guidance,
they also
yeah.
rely on you and you can guide them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's an important part of, you know,
Dynamics.
giving
in
and receiving,
relationships,
right? I don't know. I'm not saying anything new under the sun here.
But it's a helpful reminder, though, because it is easy to forget, right? Like, I think Brene Brown even says, you know, I can't trust you unless I know that you're gonna lean on me and like sort of confide in me.
Like that. That's
Like
good.
like as much as like I need to, you know, trust requires me knowing that confiding in you is safe to do. Like, you're not gonna go and tell everyone. I also need to know that you feel safe enough to confide into me, because if you don't, then and like you feel blocked off to me, then how can I really trust you? You know what I mean?
Damn.
Yeah, that's facts.
Brene Brown's
Yeah.
my internet mom.
I know, same.
And I was gonna say, forgot.
Are those
That's cool.
did those kick in, by the way?
Yeah, for
I was
sure. Yeah.
curious about that. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I just like
Got a little pep in your
a
step, eh?
downer and then an upper, like Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
where he kind of grabs the cocaine, and just, and he helps his friend off the
Damn.
Quaaludes. Yeah, we're talking about the help thing. So especially like if you ask somebody of that specific, from my experience and what I do as an example, when you ask someone from the point of view of their own culture, and you want to learn more about their culture, and you're asking for help, they feel like, oh wow, this person actually cares and wants to know more about my shit that I've lived. That's pretty cool. That's the way I see it, and that's why I feel like they're more inclined to help you, and that's why the product becomes better. It's like I think about it in my own shoes. Like, if someone were to come up to me and like ask me about, if you came up to ask me about, like, what do Persians do on like during Christmas or this time or whatever, anything about my culture, I'd be pretty like, oh, that's cool. Like, yeah, I'm for sure I'm down to help and let you know, give you more information. So that's the way I see it, and I think more people are like okay and happy to help than you think.
Mm-hmm.
That's a powerful
And like,
statement.
especially because myself, as me, my whole life, I was always scared to ask for help because I thought I was being too needy. Or like they think I always thought that they would think that I'm using them to get stuff out of them.
Oh, that's interesting.
I always had that at
felt
the back of my mind.
Mm.
But
For
now
me, it was weakness.
that too, yeah, same shit. Exactly. But now I'm like, oh, it's just, I'm confident. When I'm confident asking, I don't feel that way. That's also a part of it, when you, like, having the confidence to ask and believing that this is helpful or that they would care. I don't know. But
That's interesting. I mean,
Yeah,
honestly, like I just feel like I learned so much from listening to that because I think I'm realizing it is a weakness in me. I mean, I know that I
Join the club.
yeah, shit. I mean, but it's like it's weird because it's like I guess I'm aware that it's a weakness in me, but I think sometimes when you become aware of something, you think that somehow it's magically going to go away, but just because you become aware of something doesn't mean it changes. Like you have to actually change it. You know, so yeah, like I blocked myself up from a lot of people for a lot of years, like had zero community literally until like 2018. And I think maybe I'm getting confused because like, oh, I have a good community. The people that are in my life are no longer toxic. I love everyone. We're all a big happy family, but have I asked any of them for help? Like, great question.
Right. And yeah, you'd be surprised at what can happen when you do ask for help. So
It's cool. Appreciate that
help.
perspective.
more help, more life,
Yeah.
more blessed, fam.
What I think about often is like even when people don't have, let's say, a community like to your credit or a tribe or something to ask people for help, that like you can get it in another way for free, like through your phone. Like that's one of the things that social media and internet actually are really good for. It's like feeling lonely. You don't have to watch a movie, right? Like you could throw on an episode of a podcast that explains loneliness. You know what I mean? Like feel empowered by feeling comfortable within your own sack of skin sort of thing and like soothe your thoughts, like get that under control. And like, I don't know. I worry, for sure worry, but I'm even more like, I think a lot about the people who are like you don't even like they take 3 buses to get to a part-time job because they're just trying to like not live outside. Like it's at that point,
That's
right?
fucked up.
And I think to myself like, what am I going to say to this person? How could I, like, sure, I can't help everybody. I'm not necessarily thinking that this episode's going to do that at all, of course, either. But just as like a, just as like a sharing, like I think about this all the time. Like there's people who, more people than I can imagine probably, who are going through this, and like the idea of even sitting and thinking and listening to somebody like about how to ask for help or how to be more empowered to do that for yourself and actually then go and do it. It's like, I don't know, like how do we help? You can't, I don't know, like what happens to those people, and being one of, I'm not saying this as like a casted judgment. I am one of those people. Just I'm a few chapters ahead of the book right now because of people like Janey, right? Like who listen and help and like all those things, right? And the fact that like you want to go into the metaverse now, like,
Right.
are we not disconnected enough? Like now we need to actually see each other, kind of like through like I don't even know what they would look like. You have goggles on, but really your brain is like doing the perceived threat thing, right? Like it's not, you're not
Right.
actually in the room, but your
Right.
brain is being tricked into
It's a great
thinking.
reference.
And
Right.
it's creating a different picture in your mind going forward. Especially people growing up now,
Right.
they're gonna have a whole different perception on life through this shit. It's not gonna
Totally.
be real. It's not real. It's not real. It's gonna
Like
fuck
it's
them
too
up.
like, is this not too disconnected? Like, are we not there where we're like, all right, man, like Elon Musk's gonna put a chip in our ears or whatever, and like,
Black Mirror. That's all it is.
did you watch Black Mirror?
I have, yeah. It's insane.
Like, you're not kind of like, I don't know, maybe not freaking out, but starting to ask yourself a couple questions, like, where are we going with this whole human race thing?
Stuff like
Like, what are we doing here
Especially
exactly?
when tech is like able to replicate itself now, apparently. Like,
Yeah, there's a really scary thing that's happening in the AI world where there are AIs who are building other AIs.
right.
So I gave this
iRobot.
example.
this was gonna happen.
I gave this example, I think, last time on a solo episode that we did, and I was like, there are AIs that are living on Facebook currently, which are like operating 19 out of the top 20 like Christian religious groups, like on Facebook, and they're being run by like troll farms, which are populated by AIs or people who are feeding like complete nonsense into the system. So like, how do you like right now there's it's called the AI GT3, I think, something like that. And this AI responds to verbal, like you can talk to it. Like it's a computer thing. You can say, okay, my name is Janey Brown. I want you to write an article on fear using my voice and all of the things that have anything to do with me and Janey Brown and blah, blah. And you're saying this just as I said it. And then it'll go and write it. And it'll seem like it is written by a human being because it passes something that's called the Turing test. Ever heard of it? It's this test where like a human brain, in the language that it speaks, can understand if this was written by a robot, so to speak, or like if it was written by a human. Like there's certain ways that words are cued or words are written or whatever it is, then it's called the Turing test. Like you watch that and you can read it and your brain will understand if this was written by a human, or your suspicions will raise for whether it was not like authentic. These AIs are so good that they're passing these tests. Like people are reading them, they're giving it to real people in like a research room and they're saying, yeah, this was written by a human. And they'll say this was written by an AI created by another AI. That's so great. Now, how do you parse? How do you know literally what is true with a capital T? Like what is truth? How do you?
I have no idea.
You completely like.
I'm gonna fall asleep. This is fucked up.
And then now add people who are
disassociating.
And now add people who are already asleep.
Yeah,
like in life, in like a not literal sense,
yeah,
but like in a
brain dead. Yeah,
that,
unconsciously walking through. Like where are we headed with this? Like where is this human experiment going
that's
now?
So scary.
Yeah, it's like the only way we really can acquire truth is to be in person with other people. You know, insofar as you know, robots don't look just like people soon, because then we wouldn't know.
They already are.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah.
They're talking like them.
It's true.
But I think about that as well. Like how, you know, when I grew up in the 90s, it was the 90s.
Same.
I'm
with you, don't worry.
You know, like we have reference to when internet wasn't a thing. Like internet didn't exist at a certain point in my life, and like we didn't have phone. Like I didn't have a phone until I was 19. You know what I mean? Like we have these references where it was like we lived without that. There was no YouTube, no Facebook, no social media.
That's it.
Nothing. Just television.
There were basketballs, volleyballs, tennis balls, trees.
Trippy.
You know what I'm saying?
You guys had cell phones at 19?
I didn't have one until I was 19. I just didn't.
Damn, I had one when I was like 12.
Well, and this is just it. Like, so it's like we have a generation, like we're lucky because we came from a generation where we have a reference point of what life was like before. So if anything ever happened, the grid just explodes. We know what to do. You know what I mean?
We got this guy.
Like,
even me to an extent though, like I still grew up without the cell phones and like technology.
Like
really.
your very formidable years for sure.
Yeah.
Well, the first half of them.
Yeah, which is the most important part.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a major. Like, I mean, up until 25, you're in your developmental years. Period. Like, it all matters up until that point. But definitely, like from baby to 12, like if there was one you had to choose, get it in the latter half. You know,
definitely.
So like that's a good that there's some type of reference. But I constantly wonder that, like, what, you know, these kids that were literally born into
TikTok.
TikTok. Just gonna make.
Is your baby on TikTok? If you're not making baby talk content, like you're fucking missing out. Okay.
Take that baby to a garage sale.
On making your baby a star.
Keep going.
Oh God. Man. Yeah, no, it's a trip. Like, yeah, I don't know what the answer is. It's definitely and people always say, oh, well, like, you know, people were freaked out about the printing press, and it's like, and then, you know, and then black and white television came along, and then color television, and then, you know, and it's like, yeah, but like tech is, you know, advancing at like 6 billion%. That's obviously not a real number, but you know what I mean? Like tech is advancing so far and so fast. Like the point of printing press to like television, like the span of time that took, you know, and for us to adjust to it. And
so true.
It's so different now. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's exponential.
It's definitely one of those things that for me, I think like it's not going to go away unless something explodes. This is happening.
Yeah.
I'm hoping something explodes.
Yeah, never thought I'd say that.
You know, so it's like, how do we? This motherfucker. Yeah, how do we proceed forward? You know, knowing that this is going down, how do we like preemptively, you know, get our ducks in a row? And
my fear is that that's never happened in human history, and that like something has to happen for people to be like, oh, okay, we really don't want this and don't like it and whatever. And to Elon Musk credit, like we can't do that with AI. Like you can't put a limitation on something after you've already let it out of the bag.
That's true.
Like
I know what has to happen.
What?
Patience.
You just gotta wait. You're just too early in the process.
Yeah. It's a macro game, okay?
I guess it won't fucking matter if we all are robots at some point.
Exactly.
Because then we're all robots, and then oh well.
And then I can make content 24 hours
The
a day.
real
No.
problem is
So
when
much content.
some of us are human.
Gary Vee's gonna lose his mind.
Oh my God.
Gary-
24 hours a
He's
day.
gonna explode.
Gary Vee,
Gary Vee's gonna explode.
as in a robot. Gary Vee is a robot. Just 24 hours a day.
Content, patience, TikTok, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Facebook.
I don't even think a robot could keep up with Gary Vee, frankly.
No, he'll outwork a robot.
Yeah, agreed.
That's the
I don't
only
even know
guy
what that guy
will
is.
outwork a robot.
And David Goggins.
And David
Who do you think
Goggins.
would win in a race? Not a speed race, but just in a who won't give up race.
Goggins, bro.
Ooh.
David Goggins or Gary Vee?
Goggins and be like, who's gonna carry the boats?
That's such a great question, though.
Yeah.
Him, Gary Vee, Jocko Willink, and somebody else.
And
are
Liver
all
King.
and Liver King.
I think they would all tie. I really think they would.
I actually think Gary Vee will win because he'll also film it as he's
Yeah,
doing
he's
it.
documenting.
He's
Yeah.
documenting.
My man, like, yeah, sure, you broke your ankles, but I fucking documented that shit, okay?
David Goggins? Never heard of him.
Never heard of him. Bro, I don't give a fuck, okay?
It's the face. Damn. Gary's the goat. I
God.
love
Dude,
that fucking dude.
We gotta make this into a clip.
And send it to Gary.
No, we'll just post it
Post it.
because we always forget to like mark
I know.
down clips. But yeah, we're
like
just gonna
in
go
the 4 hours of podcast.
yeah,
like
I know, right?
rifling.
So we have to think, okay, what's a good fucking short micro clip to post on
Just
Instagram?
roll the dice, just like
Yeah, yeah.
stop here.
That
What is
one.
it?
37
yeah,
minute.
Yeah,
Damn.
exactly.
Do you follow Gary?
Yeah. He's honestly like he's such a source of positivity in such a negative space.
For sure.
And like there like not every single thing he says is something I align with, but it's also like dependent on the context. Like, you know, the claim of like don't care what anyone thinks. It's like in a certain context that makes sense and in other contexts that's not even real, right?
It's not helpful, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, at all.
And it's not possible. But like it depends on the context you're saying it in and you're applying it to. And so I think context matters just always. But like almost everything he says, I'm just like, I agree again. And I agree again. Like he's just, he's amazing. And he really is so fucking positive.
Yeah, man. He's got to figure it
Not
out.
in like a toxic way, just
No.
in like a real,
Just
this is who
perspective,
he
you know?
is. Yeah. He's super dope.
Yeah.
I talk about it all the
Definitely
time, but like when watching his like long form vlogs to see like how he interacts like in nuanced moments. And I've given this example before, but I honestly think it was like one of the coolest things I did was watch like he goes to Dubai or something or like UAE. He does like a 6-hour like non-stop vlog, like not edited, just
That's
one
amazing.
shot. And it's like and he tried it out. He's like, he put up like a 10-hour YouTube video or whatever the limit
Oh
is,
my
12 hours,
God.
whatever.
That's amazing.
I didn't watch the whole thing, but like, sure, skip ahead, because like, you know, some of it's just literally it's like 40 minutes of him sitting in the airport. Don't ask me why, like, but whatever. Watching him go through these like nuanced moments of like opening a door, greeting someone, getting in a cab, talking to a driver, whatever, like all these moments, I realized like this guy genuinely is grounded in the fact that he, to his own credit, he says like, I wake up every morning, I sit on the toilet or whatever he does, and I seriously consider everyone that I care about dying on the same in the same plane crash, whatever, bus accident. And then I'm like, you know, for 10 minutes, I literally sit there and think about what it would be like if all of these people died or what. It's very gory, but it works for him, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
And I've taken that on. I've taken a little bit of that on for myself. I've really learned that from him. His piercing through for me was like hey, you're going to die. Like literally that video, but also the idea that like you're not coming back. Like this whole thing is just like you have one chance, man. There's no practice life. Like this is it. And that's why I fucking love that guy.
It's like that
I
video.
respect the fuck out of that guy.
It's like that video I saw of that woman in the car. Or
Yeah.
sorry, she said, Gary, you have 3 words
Yeah.
of advice. He's like, you will die.
Straight up. You're gonna die.
And then just
Yeah. Puts his window up and keeps his
Yeah.
smiling.
Yeah.
I think it has a lot to do with where he was born and how he was,
Belarus?
obviously. I mean, that's obvious, but like just not being from Canada or US or whatever. No, there's nothing wrong or good about that. It's just I know what it was like to, and I know that because one of my close friends is from that part of the world, escaped all that bullshit over there. And just knowing, like, he's like, when he says, I can't even say gratitude without thinking his voice. But when I think about his gratitude, like, I get it. Guys, like, man, I lived in a small 400 square foot thing with 8 relatives. Like, how could I be sad about my milk being wrong at Starbucks?
Right. I love when he talks.
I love it.
I know,
Or like
that's
my
so true.
Wi-Fi is too slow. He's like,
This is
He, like-
always better than that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the hurt to credit when you said earlier, like it's not enough to just know, like you can't just have the epiphany and then boom, I'm good.
Yeah.
You have to do something about it, right? Like you have to go and then now actually tell your friend, hey man, you really mean a lot to me. I thought about you dying today and I'm doing something about it before you die.
Yeah.
And then thinking to myself, holy fuck, I didn't do anything about it. Now I'm living with regret. Yeah. Now you're sad. Now he's dead. Like, right? Like you want nothing at the end except for pain. You want it and you created it yourself because you just couldn't make or do.
Yeah, that's such a big like coming to Jesus sort of statement or moment or whatever. I think there's a lot of, for me, like having those realizations, it was like, okay, I'm going to repair some of the relationships in my life that are meaningful. And I think there's something to be said too about tough love versus tender love. Like there's a time for both. It's like, in the mental health space, we often sort of caveat the whole, comparison of when you had it rougher or when someone else has it rougher to you.
It's the worst.
We caveat that with there's a time and a place for that. Like when you need tough love, okay, do that to yourself. Like, oh, well, this family, just had their house blown apart by a tornado or whatever. Like, okay, sure, if that's what's working for you. But then there's these spaces where I think, if you're really hurting and you haven't figured out a way through that hurt yet, and it's like connected to trauma or whatever, just any type of pain, sometimes you need tender love, and comparison can actually just make you more hurt and more ashamed for feeling hurt, even though all these other people have it worse. So it can be a way to beat yourself up, right? Like to be like, oh, this person has it worse, or I had it worse. I shouldn't be feeling as bad as I do. It's like, well, you do feel as bad as you do. So let's deal with that, right? But that I feel bad and I'm going to like be kind to myself and acknowledge myself for it can also turn into this perpetuated self-loathing and feeling sorry for self. And so it's like, I feel like it's got to be a balance between tender love and tough love. And like, you have to know, I guess, for yourself, which one you
Would
need.
you say you were more tough love on yourself?
Well, that's how I was brought up. Yeah.
And then you yourself, like within
also
your own,
was way more tough love on myself. 100%.
You're like worst critic.
Should never be like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, should never be feeling sad, like no tears, like, it's taking me a long time to be like, all right, like self-compassion, drink water, take a nap, like, or
it's
whatever.
All good.
Right.
Yeah.
But, and it's still hard, but it's super valuable and super important because it just doesn't do anything just to like beat yourself up. Like, or compare yourself to someone starving in Belarus, as you said, like Seriously. It's just like, okay, these two things can be true. And like, I still feel like shit. So what are we going to do about that? Yeah. Like, so yeah, that's what I mean. Like when he says things, it's like, I probably agree with 100% of what he says in the right context, but it's like gratitude doesn't always come out of comparing yourself to someone who has it worse. That can actually hurt you too.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
Context matters.
Context fucking matters. What
said.
do you need? Tender love or tough love? Because that's a bit more on the tough love side, right? Like, okay, well, look at this person who has nothing.
Do you find it's easier to give tender love to others than to yourself?
Yes. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Any insights as to why?
I mean, I guess I could say that, like, I wouldn't have been able to give tender love without actually forming some type of compassion for myself on my journey. Like, I used to be pretty harsh with, like, my exes and stuff, too.
Like hard on them or like?
Oh yeah. Oh. Yeah. Just no vulnerability, like from myself or from you. Like just no.
What do you mean? Like you were both just closed off in relationships, you mean?
I mean, closed off emotionally. Yes.
Right.
For the most part. I mean, I had feelings, but like I was just a different person before I went through therapy. Like just full stop.
Of course. Yeah.
And so, yeah, like I was definitely harsher on them. I definitely was stereotypically like, did not think that vulnerability was strength at all.
Can't see that from you at
all.
I
know. It's insane. Honestly, so like I was a different person. I really was. And whatever, like maybe I think of myself as worse than I really was. Like I was,
fair enough.
I was living some darkness for a few good years there. Like I said, before I went through therapy, and I've changed. Like I've totally transformed. There's still parts of me that are the same, and that's humans for you. But yeah, for sure. Like I had to really get some self-compassion going for myself before I was able to, but now I would say for sure, like I'm able to like draw in the compassion and the empathy for others, and give them tender love far more and far quicker than like I tend to result to that for myself. So
damn, I know that. I was gonna ask you about therapy actually. What kind did you do?
I did psychotherapy for many years. And
how's that different than non-psychotherapy?
yeah, so psychotherapy is rooted in psychoanalysis. So like, I'm sure you've heard of Freud.
Mm-hmm.
He was the godfather of psychoanalysis, and like many other different sort of thinkers and leaders developed their own psychoanalytic practice kind of under him. Or even, like, you could even argue parallel to him. But long story short, psychoanalysis by and large is talk therapy. It's understanding your own psychology and your psychology as it relates to others. So like what is happening in your psychodynamics at an unconscious level, just in general, and then what's happening between you and a person, depending on whatever relationship it is. Like how do you operate psychologically with others? So
what would you say are like some major things you took away, like life things you took away that are tools? Like I'm assuming you have some very permanent tools in your toolkit following something like this. I don't know.
I mean, it's with psychodynamics, it does focus a lot on your past, like what happened to then lead to this result. And on paper, that doesn't seem like it would be like why would that be valuable? But for some reason, it landed for me. Like I was like, well, now that I understand how, like, who I am because of what happened, let's say, or what I've been through, it's almost like it doesn't run me anymore. Like maybe in the past I thought who I am is who I am and I'm just doomed. I'm just this like fucked up person. But making all these connections to the past, I guess it helped liberate me from being doomed to continue being that person. Like I was like, oh, I can change. This is just who I developed into based on these experiences in my developmental years. And like I am plastic, I am malleable, like my brain is malleable, so I can change that now. So I would say that's the biggest benefit of psychoanalytic, like psychotherapy, is you really get to know your own dynamics, and connecting to the past can give you insight into like how you developed, and it gives you more compassion. Like you're like, oh, I understand myself. I'm not just a piece of shit.
Right.
I'm this way because, but again, I'll caveat with saying like, if you stay there for too long, then every single time, then you can, like, I think I was in psychotherapy for about 7 years, let's say. And then I got to a point where I was like, this isn't helpful anymore because I'm just rerunning the same stories. I don't need to know anymore, like, why this is happening or like where it came from. Like, I already get all that. I know what the story is. I now need to like shift this and,
something else.
Yeah. Get into some like tangible skills-based stuff, which I was doing all along too. I didn't just do 7 years of psychotherapy and like repeat the same story. But it takes a long time to understand your own psychology, like a fuck ton of time, especially if you've been through hell. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It reminds me of something I heard from, I don't know, I think it was Joe Dispenza, who talks about like when sometimes like the light bulb moment that you have or the epiphany that goes on to be the reason you don't do or don't move forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
like
like
your excuse.
It's your excuse, right? And like for some reason that really clicked into me because at that moment I realized, oh, this like process of growth is different than the process of healing this situation or this incident or whatever this happened. Like these are kind of independent of each other in a sense. Like, yeah, the work is lifelong because I'm just going to grow and change as a human being. But once I figure out, oh, like this happened because I have a lot of insecurity around X and that's why I treated this partner. Once I understand that and like go through it, do what I feel, and I feel I can audit myself honestly and say I do actually feel better, then it's like, okay, well, that's like something that happened and like now it's a part of my story, but it's not the rest of my life.
Right.
And I sometimes wonder, and I think you just put words to something I've been like thinking, like, sometimes do people just get in their own way after going through the journey of the thing only to be caught in like you said, like now you're just repeating the thing, which has so much value for some amount of time, probably at the beginning of this or the beginning of this, I don't know exactly, but at some point it has to be, well, it can't just be this anymore. Would you agree with that?
I mean, definitely. I feel like the best plan for anyone going on any journey. This is a huge claim, but like, is to just be malleable. Like, because I'll say this, like in the beginning of my like psychotherapy journey, there was a diagnosis that I was being associated with that was really dooming. Like I was like, holy shit, if this is what I have, like this is, you know, I'm fucked basically.
Like my life is fucked.
Yeah. And at the time they were like, well, it could be this. And both diagnoses are quite serious. But it was just one of those things where it was like, they kind of just said, we're not gonna diagnose you. And first of all, psychotherapists can't diagnose, only psychiatrists can. But it was one of those things where it was like, you can go get a psych eval if you want from a psychiatrist and see what these diagnoses are, or you can like hang on in your journey and know that these symptoms that you're experiencing are a byproduct of trauma, which you've been through, and you know, trust that it will get better with the right treatment plans. And it was honestly one of the best pieces of advice, because if early on they said, this is what you have, which by the way, later in life, like 7 years later, they did tell me that's what I have.
Of course.
So, but I understood it from such a broader picture that this diagnosis is meant to help me make sense of myself, not meant to help me like make excuses or doom me.
To label you.
And if I had gotten it in the beginning, it would have labeled me, and I don't know that I would have made all this progress. So I think that's the dilemma with diagnoses, is that like
I see what you're saying.
the diagnosis grounds us in a theory that helps us then find a remedy.
It's like a stake in the ground to say, okay, let's take a step this way now.
Yeah, exactly.
I see what you're saying.
But it can also become our identity.
If you I get what you're
Well,
saying.
and sometimes if you're in the wrong psychological state, you might not have the opportunity to be like, this won't be like, I probably would have because I would have thought I was a victim to it. I would have thought
It's happening
this is
to me.
Exactly. Like it's this chemical thing, right?
I
But
get that.
now after all my years of therapy and study in psychology, and like, as you guys know, I've done different trauma trainings and mental health trainings. And like, I really, really studied this shit on my own. I now understand the bigger picture, and I'm no longer like, it doesn't have me by the throat. It's like, this is a thing that happened. It led to this. I now make sense. And I'm not just, it's actually kind of helpful for me to know about this diagnosis, because now I'm not just this like, I'm not just failing all the time at trying to keep my mental health in remission. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like,
yes,
because that was a big part of it too. Is like, well, I understand all this shit about myself after all this therapy. Why am I not able to like be stable all the time? Like, haven't I healed? And it's like, oh yeah, no, because like, you know, after these assessments, I realized like, no, there's this more at play here. But so that helped me. It was like, okay, now knowing this diagnosis is like helpful, because I can then understand that I'm not broken, and I can know what to expect, so I can prepare better. But the fucking last thing I want to do is make excuses because of that and say, oh, well, it's just that, or like become, you know, a victim to it. Like, and I just don't think that's necessary, but that's my take on it. I don't know what other people.
I would fully agree with that. That was.
That's
No, I agree. I think a lot of people.
It's a lot of information. That's for sure.
It is.
A lot of psychoanalytic
psychoanalysis.
I was like,
I feel like I need therapy now.
Like a profile, like peripheral. I'm like, is he struggling because of the CBD and all these like weird terms right now?
No, I
like
understand what you're talking about. It's just a lot to process, because
Yeah, it was a lot. I went on a kind of a rant there.
No, but
No,
I like
it's
the
good,
idea
though.
of therapy for people who aren't necessarily going through something. I like the idea of
Totally.
investing in what you care about, and if what you care
I would
about
do it.
is having a clear psyche and making
sure.
the best decisions you can make, and
Should be
whatever
normal.
else, like
It should be normal for sure.
Everyone needs help at some point.
not even at some
100%,
point. Everyone needs help.
Help. Period.
End of the sentence. Yeah, full
Yeah,
stop. Yeah,
100%.
yeah, exactly.
Right, like you were the way. I love that you were the one that was like an advocate for help too. Like
I know, right?
It's true. Like
Yeah.
in whatever it is, it could, you know, it
Be
could,
anything in life, yeah.
yeah. But it's like, honestly too, I remember at the beginning of my therapy journey, I was like, oh, this is so expensive, and like I'm broke as fuck, and you know, it's all playing into each other, and I just, as soon as I started to do it, I realized very quickly that there would be no me getting out of debt until I did this. Like, it all plays a role. It's all interconnected. Like, who you are at an unconscious level, subconscious, conscious level, it is the manifestation of your entire life. Like, the seed of your reality is in your mind. You know what I mean? So if you invest in counseling or therapy, and it could be anything. I mean, like, CBT and cognitive behavioral therapy, for example, and, or like trauma release therapy and things like that. Like, that's not a 7-year journey of like psychodynamic discovery. That's totally different. So, I mean, there's lots of different types too that people can investigate.
Have you tried psychedelics? Experimented at all?
I have, but they didn't at all do jack shit from like a spiritual healing standpoint.
Did they do anything otherwise?
They showed me that I don't need them to heal. I'm not
That's
against
different.
them, for the record.
No, I don't sound like you are. Just
Yeah.
didn't sound like you have a profound experience through them. That's all.
I mean, I've done mush a handful of times.
Classic shortening of the word.
So disrespectful to the
I've
plant.
done mush.
You just sound like every hockey dude ever. Yeah,
Legit.
Crush some mush on the weekend,
Dabbled in a little bit of co.
That's why I think
It's like
it's
just
oh my God, Brockville term. Sometimes the Brockville comes out of me, or the Thousand Islands or whatever.
yeah, that makes sense.
So-
Salad sauce, yeah.
When I like did mushrooms in the beginning, it was like, let's get fucked up, right? And then later, in my adult years, I've done it a couple times, and it's been like much less of a dose, and it was for the purpose of like, let me just like kind of expel whatever sort of coils and tension I'm carrying in my body, and it was helpful. Like, it didn't heal me, but it was like nice to not be fucking anxious as fuck for a day. But the bigger one that everyone always asks about is ayahuasca. And like, I respect whatever anyone needs to or wants to do on their journey, especially like whatever they want to ingest, like whatever. What I learned from ayahuasca was that I don't need ayahuasca to heal.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you tried
100%.
ayahuasca. Wow.
That's what the medicine taught me. Like, if
Whoa.
anyone was like, what's the main message? That was the message.
Damn.
Do not.
But it's kind of a deeper thing. Maybe you're saying like the answers are within you, and
Big
it's
time.
showing you that the answers are within you.
Totally.
So it's not a waste of time. It actually did exactly what it needed to do, though, right? Like it sounds like.
That's a fair point. I still believe that I could have found that answer not doing that, because if the answer's
enough.
in me, I don't fucking need a plant to tell me that. But
Right.
like,
Fair enough.
and it did tell me, I found those answers along the way anyway, right? Like, it wasn't like that night I was like, this is what the plant's telling me. I was like, that night I was in the worst hell I've ever been in, facing all of my demons at once.
Yeah, that
Being
sounds
like,
accurate.
you know what I mean? Being like, what the fuck is the point of this? I'm doing this anyway in therapy. What the fuck? I mean, I was also in like a real like fucked up time. Like, I was in Peru. I was on a trip with my ex, and we like decided to split up at one point because shit just was not going well
On the trip.
on the
Oh
trip.
my God.
And then I went and did ayahuasca. So like,
Wow.
and I was like in the middle of my therapy and like trauma
Jeez.
healing and shit. It was fucking not a pretty sight.
No.
But it wasn't until years later where I was like, oh, that's what the plant was trying to tell me, that like I'm already facing my demons and like I'm doing that shit every day. Like, I don't need this to like catapult
Right.
me into fucking
I need to brew this tea from
Yeah,
these leaves for 8
exactly.
hours and then
Jesus.
vomit everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
It was like, yo, be respectful to yourself. Like, why would you add this in the mix?
And we have enough
We were
fucking
enough
proms.
fuckery.
Exactly.
Enough goddamn proms around
Yeah.
here.
Oh my
Wow.
God, dude. Yeah.
That's trippy.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say there's this one other thing that happened that night, which I like almost never talk about. But, well, there's like a lot of things that happened that night, but like there's this one, I don't know if this is too graphic, but like,
I love graphics.
so
The more graphic, the better.
That's all we're here for, actually.
like, oh shit, there's like a bit more context to this. So like, okay, I haven't puked in a while. Like, I don't puke somehow. I don't know probably why. I mean, when I say probably, I probably have an idea of why I don't like vomit, but it's just not a thing I do. I don't know why. When I get sick, I like, yeah.
You puke backwards.
Exactly.
Use your
Well,
shit.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exact. So when you take ayahuasca, you have to purge that shit. It's a toxin. So
Yeah.
like it has to come out some way. So guess what?
Right.
And but the problem is, like, for me, I feel just as sick. Like, I feel like I want to projectile vomit, but I can't. It just so I'm like, all right. I like fucking stagger my way to the bathroom. And I remember like we were in this like circle, and the bathroom was like, it felt like it was across the street, dude. It was so far. And I was like, no matter how ill I feel and weak I feel, I know that no matter fucking what, like reach, dig, pull, like I can get from here to there. Like no matter what I have to do, if I have to crawl, I can get there because I'm not going to shit in my
in my spot. I'm going to the bathroom.
Yeah, like
this is happening in walls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Because it's just going to be so much more of a problem if I shit in my sleeping bag right now. So
That'll be a fun experience.
I don't know.
Oh, it sucks
Maybe
so
a fun
bad.
story. I don't know about a funny story.
So this is just the context. This is really not where I'm trying to go with this. So so whatever. I make it to the toilet. I'm dying, and I'm fucking letting it out. And at one point, like I can feel. It just felt like a whole planet worth of shit like
Exiting
Left
your body.
fucking system.
no, but it was like
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
it
was
was
a
like
good one.
it felt like it needed to, but it was like
You gave birth through your asshole, pretty
Dude.
much.
Oh my lord.
that's what it felt like was about to happen. But I was like, I can't, because if I do, I'll die. Like that's how serious this felt. It was like,
Oh,
Wow.
fuck.
you know, like it was like I actually wonder if what I was experiencing was like my ego in shit form. Like
Like your ego dying
yeah,
as
yeah,
shit through shit.
Shit's coming out.
exactly. Yeah, like it's
Ego
like,
death, yeah.
But it was like, but there's this like so some of that's coming out, but like there's this whole planet of ego that can't come out because literally I would die. And if you think about that, if you think about like everyone shits on the ego, like in popular culture, it's like, kill the ego.
You have
get-
such a big ego. Yeah.
yeah. Which is weak because we actually need the ego to survive. It's also part of
100%.
our survival structure.
Yeah.
So it's like, if anything, that was a metaphor of saying like, no matter how much fucking healing you do, you need me. Like your world revolves around me. I don't have to run your life, but
Right.
I'm a planet that's in your solar system that can't go anywhere without you dying. And dude, like as sick as I felt and in pain as I felt, like it was just all the fucking feelings at once and
Wow.
voices and shit. And I was like, it's like, it would take everything for me to shit this out. Like, I swear to God, man, it was
Like I'm gonna
everything.
die.
I swear to God, I believed wholeheartedly I would die if I tried to shit that out.
Oh my god.
Really?
So I did not shit it out, dude.
Like, you didn't shit at all?
Oh, I shat a lot. I just didn't shit that out. I
That's
just didn't shit
hilarious.
the
Yeah.
ego planet out, man. So yeah, like that is a visceral memory where like I often think back to that and think like, yeah, I probably wasn't supposed to shit out my ego, frankly. Like I kind of need that.
Gotta keep some. Yeah.
It's the thing that's gonna feed me later when I'm like a fucking raisin from having no water.
Oh my god. I don't know. The more you're telling this story, I'm like, I don't know. It sounds like an experience I definitely would have got a lot out of. Like,
I mean,
there's
there's
like wholesome shit, you know.
I would have
pun
been good
intended.
at holding my shit in, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're not making it to the bathroom. I already
There's
know
no
he's
way.
not.
I'm
yeah.
letting it go easily.
Nah, he's
You're
pooping.
puking?
He's pooping. in
Puking
place.
and pooping.
oh, in your sleeping bag.
In
Yeah,
place.
in place. Yeah, I'm not moving.
The lucky thing is you have a bucket. I was like, I'm not gonna try to shit in this bucket right now. Like,
No.
I would do it.
especially if my face needs to be in here later. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Your face.
Well,
If you
because
throw
people
up,
puke
yeah.
in the bucket. I wasn't.
Oh, I
wasn't
would
able
just
to use it.
projectile vomit into the vomit.
into the
into the
from
bucket.
afar.
Yeah. Ah.
Yeah, this
That's
isn't
the
a
other thing,
badminton
too.
thing.
So you hear so many people just fucking going through it too. Like there is 20 people in
And
this
they're
circle,
just-
and they're just dying.
Everyone's repulsing all the demons.
Wait, is this like at the
Crying.
beginning of the thing or like throughout the
the
whole
whole night.
day?
It was an 8-hour hell.
Like you're high
Maybe
for
6.
8 hours?
I was very high for like 5 minutes. That was the other thing, was the initial, like the most intense part of the high was it was like the first part. So I took the medicine and I was meditating beforehand. Like I was like doing my energy work or whatever
Getting
in my
in the
like
right
seat.
headspace.
Yeah, exactly. And then I like take the medicine, tastes like shit. It's basically tastes like the fucking shit I sprayed in my mouth when I got high.
Of course.
And tried to cover it up. And I sit down and like within like it felt like seconds. It was like my whole body and like everything around me was fucking pulsing. It was just like vroom, vroom.
Holy shit.
And like the fucking colors started to fade. And like it
Oh,
was just, dude,
no.
it was just so nuts. Like it was
I don't
just
know if I
like,
would like that.
dude, it was so intense. And then, so like it was like 5 minutes of that. It was like these waves of fucking like heat and like vibration. So intense, man. So like, let's say 5 minutes of that. And then it was like, I thought for sure I was going to puke. I was having a full vagal response, like just like my
It's coming
nervous
out.
system on 11. And then like, oh, that fucking movie almost came back to me and it just went again.
Oh no.
Anyway, 5 minutes pass. I'm like, I might die. And then it almost felt like a tidal wave of cool just washed over my whole. It was like peaked. It was almost like the medicine was like fusing with my like body or whatever. And then it was like, okay, now we're like one. And then from that point on, I was barely high, very, very, very fucking sick, and surrounded just by all my demons.
Oh.
That was the rest of the night. So it was like 5 minutes of like, this is fucked. And then like, I
another
fucking
8
hate
hours
my
of
life.
this is also kind of fucked. But
Yeah,
in a
maybe
different
6
way.
hours. But yeah, at least.
What do you mean you're surrounded by your demons for 6 hours?
Like all of the things that, all of the fears, all of the pain, all of the trauma that I was already like little bit by little bit facing in my life was just there.
Oh, just
At the same time.
All at once. Yeah, just around me. Like the sounds, the fucking like, yeah, like visuals.
feelings, you just
Yeah,
felt
All
of
the
it.
bad guys are in the
All
room
of
at the
it,
same
dude.
time.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
that's a good thing because then you got to finally deal with them right
No,
there.
but that's what you think. That's what people think. They think if I do it faster, if I do it more, I'll heal faster. It's like, none of that shit went away just because
probably
they were
got
in the room with me.
Yeah.
I still had to go through like 5 more years of therapy after that.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
not. This was not and now I got it done quicker. Like
Yeah, no.
more is not more when you're fucking facing your trauma. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's about titration. Like a little chemistry set. You take one drop from the trauma, put the drop in your fucking consciousness, and just do it over and over again until you can.
Good
you
analogy.
you
I
know
like
what
that.
I mean?
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
That was a great one. Yeah.
Titration.
Titration.
Yeah,
New word.
ayahuasca is not titration.
No.
That's pure
It's a
fuckery.
fucking tidal wave. And
Yeah.
whatever, everyone has their own, like, literally, everyone has their own experience. There's probably people hating on me right now who do it like, they're like, it's like what they live for. I mean, I know people that, I'm going to do another one. It's like they do it like 12 times a year.
Jesus
Whatevs,
Christ.
dude. Whatevs. Honestly, I just know that my message from my plant experience
Yeah, honestly.
was that I don't need to do this shit to heal.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
You know what I
There's-
mean?
yeah.
So,
I found that psilocybin has been really helping me. I take like microdoses on a 2-day off, 1 day on schedule.
I love that you're on a schedule. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Have to be. And I over time is when I saw the real like the real juice, so to speak. Like it's been, you can tighten it from there actually. There's one, yeah, even a bottom one if you want. It's probably, I think it's from there.
All these loose knobs.
That's what she said.
I found that over a long time, it like really
doesn't,
helps.
doesn't make sense at all. Just
I
trying
was
to
like,
throw
is
you
it
guys
just
off.
me that's not getting the job?
Take some more CBD and shut
Yeah.
up, sit in the corner.
What kind of girls have you been talking to?
Yeah. Over time, I felt that it definitely has like healed some parts of my brain
That's pretty
over
good.
time.
Yeah, that's
But
cool.
it can't just be the pop the 2 capsules
Right.
and off we go. Like I started out doing 4 months with a coach.
Love
Like every
that.
week we would meet and we'd talk about like what were your intentions, like what did you try to accomplish, what were your doses, like how did you feel through the day, and it really works.
That's super cool. I definitely am into the idea of like assisted trips or whatever. I don't know that I would do a hero dose still unless I really trusted whatever shaman
Yeah.
or whatever. But like, yeah, I'm interested in that. I mean, they're doing experiments with, veterans, PTSD and MDMA and acid and
MDMAs I find very interesting.
Yeah, MDMA is a hell of a drug. That was always my favorite whenever I was into that stuff, which I'm not anymore.
I've never tried it yet, but I'm looking forward to trying it in a clinical setting. I've been doing some reading on MAPS and like the research that they're doing on MDMA.
Yeah, lots of research and same with mushrooms.
Mush.
Mushrooms.
Well, a drug that's helped me is TikTok.
Yeah, it's a hell of a drug too.
Yeah, heavy dopamine hits,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah, totally. Oh my God, that's 100%. Yeah,
Nothing like ayahuasca. Doesn't make me shit, but I do watch it when I'm shitting.
yeah, same.
Ayahuasca.
I also practice Espanol when I'm pooping.
True. This is a good place to
Yeah,
practice
Get your
Espanol.
15 minutes in.
Get your 15 minutes?
100%.
No,
15
versus-
minutes. Damn.
Oh, that's just the start.
Are you learning Spanish?
See,
Sí.
That means yes.
todos
Very,
los
very
días.
¿Cómo estás, papi?
Fucking Cubanos. Any particular reason?
You know what's crazy? No. Like, I feel like Spanish for me and learning it is the same feeling I get when I used to just sing for no reason. Like, obviously, it's a profession of mine and I love singing and it's healing and I love writing songs. Like, all that's still a love for me. At one point, it got real bitter, but I've come out the other side and it's still a love, but it's also a profession, right? But with Spanish, it kind of feels like I felt when I was a kid when it wasn't like before I got into performing publicly and stuff. And it was just like this thing that I just love to do and I just couldn't stop myself from doing. That's what practicing Spanish is for me. Like when I say the words and when I learn the language, it just makes me feel like I'm singing in a way, like kind of a similar feeling.
You could pass for Spanish though.
True.
Sweet.
You actually look like a true Spanish
Northern
girl.
Spanish.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Like you do fucking samba and shit and bachata and all that stuff. You just look like you're a seasoned vet.
Man, I would love to do salsa or a bachata. That'd be cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bachata.
married to Raul.
Yeah.
I'd be down to marry a Latino.
See. See. No.
It's like a constant, like, chivalrous dating scene. I feel like there's always going to give you
Very
flowers
romantic.
and also a bottle of wine in their hand and
Always dance
glasses
around you and pick you
Yeah,
up
the
and shit.
dancing would be a real thing that would happen.
Dancing's a
a lot.
vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, yeah, we could practice Spanish together.
They could, and hopefully he won't use you for a green card or something.
That might have almost happened in my past.
Okay,
That's hilarious.
but actually,
I honestly don't know.
but you have a suspicion.
I have a suspicion. Yeah.
Then we
when
need
I
to
was
hear
in
the story.
Cuba. So I was in Cuba.
Guanos.
Yeah, love Cuba. Oh my
Love it.
God.
I love Cuba.
Talk about like connection and community.
Oh yeah, that's
That
number
was
one.
real eye opening for me there, especially when I went to Havana. Like obviously Verdo is like more touristy and beachy and stuff, but when you go to Havana, like old Havana too, I mean, you are in the culture because we also stayed at a Casa Particular. I was with my brother. Hilarious times. Anyway, we at one point we went to some beach. I can't remember where it was, and I like met this guy. I think I was like 21 maybe, and I met this guy, and he was literally out of a magazine. Like this guy was just unbelievable. Like unbelievable.
Like how is this guy real?
Yeah. And all of a sudden just was in love with me. Right.
Of course.
Okay. I'm 21. Right. Like I didn't see it coming. So like, whatever, dancing with me on the beach and swimming.
mami.
Yeah. Just all the things. Like I was
Oh my God.
super into this guy.
That's so funny.
And then like at one point he tried to take me to a party and my brother was like, yeah, we're not doing that. And then we didn't go. And then like, it might have even been like years later. I don't even know if it was like the same trip, but I was like, oh, that guy was probably trying. Like, I don't think he was in, like, he liked me for me,
Like, because my passport, my address.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I barely spoke Spanish then. He didn't speak any English. Like,
What could there? Yeah.
he's way too hot for me. Like, he was like a model. So, yeah, it just didn't add up.
You never
Interesting.
know. It's weird because the opposite doesn't really occur.
Green card.
No, like this situation in a reverse of like if you were the guy and somebody else was the woman.
Oh.
Oh, it definitely occurs.
To
I
who?
think it does.
It definitely
100%
occurs.
it does.
Yeah.
To
Oh, for sure.
who?
You see,
all the time.
it worked all the time. Yeah. I mean, and I just want to say, I don't want to be disrespectful because poverty, and the poverty that they experience, like they have to do what they have to do. Like,
Oh, yeah.
100%. I have no judgment, for some of the things that go on down there. But like, yeah, for sure. No guys are getting wheeled. 100%.
Yeah. Definitely getting
Interesting.
dangle sauce wheeled. I'll be down. That'd be pretty cool if
Yeah. I mean, I'm not
Someone's
even mad
trying
at
to-
going back and seeing if I can see
Yeah.
that guy again.
15 years later,
Yeah.
like, let's see what he's up
yeah,
to.
just pull an absolute rocket. That's it.
We got to find you a date for tomorrow.
Yeah. Call in now. 1-800. Fuck
I'm
me.
desperate.
If this was live.
Damn.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
For people who don't
I've been
know.
thinking about who to bring this whole time in the back of my head.
So
Because
who
I'm
don't-
like,
from-
time's crunching.
For those who don't know, because we're going to post it today, so people will actually hear it today.
Yeah, true.
Okay. I
You
mean,
must-
I will
well-
go with you, but I like the deal.
No, I know.
I'm your homegirl.
I don't think there's
I
any
know.
confusion.
I know. Yeah.
But I want you to have the opportunity for
I
like
appreciate
what
that.
you really want.
I know. Yeah. There's still some time, so we'll see.
Maybe we'll
Yeah.
put it out through our stupid club.
We could be each other's wingmen. I mean, there's gonna be other people.
Well, I don't know. I
Totally.
think everyone's just gonna be couples and shit.
No, there
Oh,
won't
is
be
it
all
a
couples.
couple thing?
No, it's not. That's incorrect. For people who are listening, Neema is trying to find a date to a party that we're going to tomorrow.
and
So
I
what
wouldn't
you're
even
listening?
be that adamant on getting one if I didn't get fucked the first time.
And not in the good way, by the way.
Like-
Just
like
to
Oh,
just
clarify.
fucked over.
Fucked
Fucked
over.
over,
That's what I mean.
right.
Like
So this happened last year too?
no. Like
It just
I
happens
meant,
a
like,
lot.
It happens a lot in general.
Mm.
But
Like
like
people
lot of last minute
ghosting?
bails.
last minute cancels a lot. Yeah,
For you?
for me. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's I got to do something about my approach. So it's probably that.
I think a lot of people are looking for like like he'll go out with me, like I'm validated, like he's into me, and then I'll
Like,
just bail because
yeah.
I'm too shy, nervous.
Because I
scared.
have this other hot guy that I'm gonna fuck on Saturday that can't provide the good dick that Neema can, or the other way around.
And you won't
They're
make
like,
me
"Babe."
laugh.
Yeah, I already got my laughter. Now I
Yeah.
need fucking large cock and fucking 6-pack to feed my soul. Will you eat my dick?
666 club, 6 figures, 6-pack.
Yeah,
6
exactly.
feet.
Yeah,
Neema's not in any of those.
Oh, shit.
legit.
He's in the
I don't know if I've ever dated a guy that's all three of those.
nope. He's in 1 figure, 1 pack, and 5.11. Feet.
Are you upfront with them about like what you're looking for?
Yeah, all the time.
And
Mhm.
it's so you're basically just like I just am looking for sex.
Well, like I don't say it like that, but yeah,
Okay.
like
Well,
I'm not
So
that
sorry, so
aggressive, but like,
But you're like I'm looking
but
for a hookup. That's
hook
fine.
up, like yeah, like like if any, just
Looking at
just
casual,
physical.
yeah.
I
Just
mean,
physical.
I feel like that I mean, maybe that's why they're bailing last minute. Because if maybe it's like, since it's not a serious like quest or whatever,
She
for
does make a
them,
good point.
maybe it's like, well, this is just a hookup anyway. It's
Here's my
like
bail.
fuck
Not
it.
all of them, like,
But if you're upfront and you're saying,
but I am upfront, like, with certain people, yeah,
which is good that you're upfront, by the way. Like if you just want to
Yeah.
hook up, you should be upfront.
I do.
about
I
that.
always do that because I don't like wasting time anymore.
Yeah, 100%. But
So-
that also could be why people are like,
Thrown off.
or just bail last minute. Like I would, like if I was taking something seriously, I would never, to the best of my power, ever treat
Yeah.
bailing on someone last minute lightly. Like that's just not me. However, if it was just a hookup, that would be a different story. I
Yeah.
actually didn't put that together before. Like
But this isn't
Yeah.
the case though. I never.
this situation
With this one,
isn't.
it's just not the case
that's
because
yeah,
that would never
sucks.
happen. But like,
But when you conglomerate it all and say, oh, there's lots of bailing.
yeah, but I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's not always like, like I don't always just say like, oh, I just want to fuck or some shit. Like sometimes like I actually do want to hang out with this person more. So it's not just that, and I do say that. And so, but even then, no matter what, there's always a lot of bails.
Hmm.
So
But do you ever give the indication like I like as Neema like would go on the path of being serious with you, girl? Like do you ever
Yeah.
Okay.
like I always say like I'm not looking for anything, but like I'm always open to if something goes somewhere, I'm open.
okay.
I think that's pretty fucking straightforward.
Yeah, that seems like a good
'Cause I don't want to force it either.
foundation of knowledge for them to like base a
I also
decision.
don't want to lie and be like, yeah, I'm looking for something serious, and then fuck them and then leave. I'm not gonna do that.
Oh, definitely don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm just trying to, because when your claim was like people bail on me all the time. And like this Saturday aside, like that's week that she bailed, like it was an actual event that you were taking to her to. But like with your claim of like, oh, people always bail, I'm just trying to understand like the understanding they have going into it. You know?
I think I'm just too nice. I think it has to be that because I've noticed the trend of when I'm too nice or like not like overly nice, but like I actually care to carry conversation or like I don't know. I actually say things that are of substance. So for some reason they feel intimidated or some shit and they get scared off.
When you say things of substance,
Like I actually talk about real shit. I don't just like talk about fluff with people.
like the anatomy of the vagina.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like in a funny way. You know what I'm saying? Like I add two elements that I'm good at and put them together. And like, I think that's pretty good. That's pretty fucking attractive. But I guess most girls, they have so many options. They're like, yeah, it's fine. He's cool. He's a good guy. And like, I could see him as like a future potential like partner. But like, I don't know. I just don't, because I've heard a lot of girls saying they're too scared to commit to a guy who like seems like they're the one or like they would be a great guy because they don't want to fuck it up. So they just altogether ghost. I think that's what happens the most to me.
Interesting.
Because I know I'm a great guy. I know
Yeah.
I can provide eventually, like financially, emotionally, physically. I could do all those things. Maybe I don't have all of them now, but at least I'm working towards them.
Yeah.
And I'm actually working on myself. I have a lot of self-growth habits now, or, I have the right people around me. I'm driven. I'm ambitious. There's so the list goes on, right? And so I feel like when women recognize that, they get intimidated and they get scared off.
I think this isn't a.
That's possible.
I think that's possible, but I also think that it's now starting to sound like you're attracting a certain breed of person.
No, I am for sure. I am. I don't. They're. It's that you're right. Yeah, for sure it is, because I do notice the same kind of girls coming through. I don't know why. I'm not doing anything. I'm just being myself. They're attracted to like maybe making me toxic or some shit. I don't know. Maybe I am toxic.
What do you mean making you toxic?
Like trying to like fuck with me because they know I'm a good guy or some shit. Trying to see if they can take it out of me somehow or like make me worse.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I feel.
You want to be running in the other direction if that's the case. You know what I mean? For real, like you do not want to fuck with someone.
They play with you. They play with you because they know that you're a vulnerable person and like they can take advantage of it. So I feel like that's part of it. I've definitely noticed that.
Yeah, I mean, if that definitely sounds that sounds awful. Like
I haven't met a girl yet who is like just like me. I'm just chill, I'm just fucking just normal. And like also likes to hook up or also likes to do this and that. Like, I just haven't met someone. I mean, obviously it's like it is rare because otherwise I'd find my girlfriend or like my longtime partner. But I'm just saying in general, there's not as many people that are like me.
Yeah,
that I've connected with at least.
I feel like you and I can both relate to that too, like apart from your situation now, but like we've said that a million times. Like I've been single for like 5 years and I totally understand that. Like, I mean,
yeah, it's tough. I don't know.
Yeah, I totally understand that. It's also, and this is what's so interesting when people say like, oh, there's 7 billion people on Earth. It's like, well, first of all, half of those people aren't going to be into you because they're either going to be gay or like into the opposite sex or whatever, right?
Or asexual.
Not half of them, but do you know what I'm saying?
Animals,
yeah, exactly. Some like many of them don't speak your language, so that's probably not going to work out. There's probably a chunk of them that are not a religion that you would want to convert to.
Yeah. Most don't live in your country.
Exactly. Like there's so many fucking variables. Like when people say that, it's just it's such a joke. And
That's
so
so
like
true.
herein lies like the actuality of how much availability there is. Like if there's this much availability on these dating apps, like why is everyone still single? Like, why is everyone getting divorced? Like, it's because it doesn't work like that,
There's
right?
too many options.
Yeah, well, but there isn't. I think that's the problem is we think there's too many options, but we're not actually grounded in just going like let me just enjoy this present moment with this human being. And if it goes further, it does. And if it doesn't, it doesn't,
I refer to what I said earlier. People are looking to find it versus develop it.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It could be your whatever. It could be your age group too. I mean, like if I think about myself, like in that age group, I was way fucking different than I am today. Like what I was looking for, what my habits were, who I was so, I mean, it is possible that maybe you'll find the person just like you when you I'm not trying to make this sound patronizing, when you like in 2 years from now or like 5 years from now, or when those women that you would be into have matured and when you've maybe matured a bit more, like, whatever. Or maybe you'll find someone next year, who the fuck knows? But I think it's like, yeah, it's really hard to predict and mitigate failure with this shit and predict what's going to work and what isn't. And, why we're attracting who we're attracting or why we're not attracting. I fucking can't figure it out. Like,
I don't know. I think people always attract people who they don't want. I noticed that as a trend.
People always attract people who they don't want. Is that what you said?
I know. That's a trend. I swear I see that everywhere too. Everyone talks about that. It's always the case. I don't know why.
Is it always the case?
For the most part, yeah. That's what I've known. At least what I've noticed.
Yeah. Okay, but it's not always the case though.
No, always no. But
that's good.
Yeah, no. Yeah. But
the reason that's good is because if it's always the fucking case, you're fucked. Just stop looking.
I know.
Right?
Yeah,
but it's
most
not
of the time.
always, right? It's just like, I don't know, man. I hear you. It's so interesting. I think like, I can't say too much about this, but I was just an interview for a reality show and it's for dating. And I was scared to do it because I'm 35 and the cap was 35. And I was like, oh fuck, I'm going to be, like the old one or whatever. And I was like, fuck that shit. I'm not the anomaly here. I'm representative. Like there's a lot of 35-year-old women who are single because they're not finding partners that are leveling up. Like women have to work so hard to fucking make it in this man's world. And there's no shade there. Like, this was a society built by men for men. There's no shade. It's fine. But we have to like overcompensate to sort of crush it in this era that's sort of unnatural to us in a lot of ways, and fucking work on our emotional intelligence and get our emotional needs met and so like we're over here overcompensating, and then there's like a slew of men who are, you know, like sort of didn't have to try as hard to maybe get and this is a generalization, like men work hard. I'm definitely not saying they don't, but it's like, why are the men at my age seemingly not at my level? And it's like, well, maybe because they weren't driven intrinsically to like do the emotional intelligence shit in the same, like, and have a boss. It's almost like there's something missing always. Like,
yeah, that's true.
You're like, you know, your career's amazing, but you're a fucking narcissist. Like, yeah, one of these things is not like the other kind of thing. So, I mean, I think like if you as a young man who's like self-aware and like has empathy and emotionally, like if you work on all these things, which you are, like you are definitely eventually going to find a worthy, valuable chick that's like on your page. It's only a matter of time, right? That's true. But it's just like maybe isn't right now because these women haven't, you know,
it's just the wrong
developed yet, or and same with you, like you're still figuring yourself out too, you know?
Well, yeah, but the thing is, one thing that really stuck with me was what Bianca said actually that one time. She was on our podcast, or one of our mutual friends. She's like, as much as you want to like wait till the right time for you to be fully developed and grown, you don't know when that is.
For sure.
Like you're gonna just block people out because you're in that growing mode? Like you can't.
Right.
Like what if
definitely
the right person comes along, right? Yeah. So that's why I'm always saying I'm open to it.
Yeah.
I'm not closed off because I'm developing still. Like everyone's always developing still.
For sure.
Like you're developing at 50. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
Like so why would you? So that's my thinking. And
but I don't think you know, recognizing that you're developing means you have to block yourself off to it. It just means you have to patience.
Yeah. You also have to prioritize it too.
Yeah.
And you know, and I don't know, but I mean,
what, developing or like
yourself?
Oh, for definitely that. Yeah. I thought
always
you meant
prioritize yourself.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like there's even times where I'm thinking like, shit, like, is it possible that I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life? Like, is that a possibility? And it's like, it is a possibility.
It is possible, yeah.
How am I going to get right with that?
True.
Well, I got to love myself, you know? And like, there are days where I'm like, shit, like, I really do think I could do life for the rest of my life solo. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually kind of comfortable there right now. Right. But I don't actually know that it would be the best way I could grow. Like, I know that I grow shit tons in relationships and heal a ton. So, I mean, like, I'm open to it as well. But I think it's also important to be at a space where you're like, yeah, if I had to, like,
it'd be fine,
go down for myself forever, like, I guess I could. And then I feel like that kind of takes the anxiety away from, like, looking and seeking. And
True.
It just makes you open instead of, you know, digging and, like.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. It's like just like thinking about it too much.
Yeah. But it's also human. Like,
it's like, why am I gonna stop thinking?
Yeah,
Like,
I think about it too.
I fucking think too hard about this shit. But like naturally with everything, I just think too much about it.
Dude, same. I'm like the queen of overthinking. It's rough.
Yeah. It's like, did you? I just saw this yesterday. There's a TikTok of this girl talking about, like, did you know 50% of people have an inner voice in their head and 50% don't? Something like that.
Where's that stat?
one.
There's like, I looked into it. There's so many people who are like, they're talking about their own like stories and like they have the whole thing on videos.
What do you mean by an inner voice?
Like when you're reading something, like you don't hear the things. You have your own voice, your reading voice when you're reading something, right? Like that's how I am. I'm sure that's how you. Some people don't have that. They just like recognize it and they like goes into their brain.
Maybe they're just not aware of it.
I don't know, but like some people, like they don't like this one girl was like, oh, when I go to sleep, I don't like, you know, when you go to sleep, like you start thinking about shit.
Yeah.
Like in your mind. This person's like, no, I don't think about it. Like I don't think anything. I just hear what's going on around me and I sleep. Like you don't, like she doesn't like she intentionally thinks about stuff.
Clearly this bitch doesn't know what anxiety is.
Yeah. That's probably it. That's what I'm saying. But like some people just don't have that inner voice.
And this is to say what?
I don't know. It just kind of reminded me of
Oh.
that when we were talking about the overthinking.
Oh yeah.
Overthinking, yeah.
I mean, shit. It's hard. It'd be like hard to disprove or prove like whether people have inner voices or not, because the only person that will be able to tell us that is
Right.
them, and whether they're aware of it or not is also at play. Like, but I mean, I think the key is like if and when you are an overthinker, like to know, and even when it's hard not to do it sometimes. But
What do
yeah,
you
Yeah, I
mean by
don't-
overthinking though? Like you mean you think
Too
too
much.
many thoughts, or you think too deeply
too
about
many
the
thoughts
thought?
in a
Both.
short amount of time all
Yeah.
at once.
Exactly.
Like world record for most amount of thoughts per millisecond.
You also feel like you're in this category?
100%. Yeah.
I'm more surprised about this because you actually practice mindfulness. Right?
Oh,
I mean, like,
imagine what it'd be like if I didn't.
I know. And this is a person who doesn't, so I get this one a bit more, but
Yeah, no, like honestly,
I don't think it's impossible to get rid of it.
yeah.
I
oh,
don't
but
think
why
it's
would
possible.
you want to get rid of it? That's
The key is
Because
to
it's
slow
fucking
You
annoying.
gotta slow it down.
I don't think that's
That's
I
the
don't
key.
think that's
Yeah,
the right
because
way
you
of
don't
looking at it.
because you don't go through it.
No, I do. I just don't I don't understand it as something I have to get rid of. It's something that I just have to witness and be familiar with. I've said this to you before. Like
Yeah.
meditation, as far as I know, from whatever language it comes from, is literally translates to be familiar with.
That's
to
fair.
become
Yeah,
familiar
yeah,
with.
yeah. To
For
be
sure.
to be aware of.
So that's it.
I'm just saying, like when you think about things too much, or it's exhausting.
Right, but what I'm saying,
Yeah, well,
You're
if I
thinking too
meditate, I'm thinking about it more. I'm legit thinking about it more, and that's what stresses me out.
no, you're.
So I
you're-
get more stressed while I'm meditating.
I disagree.
But
I don't
I
think
can,
you're
I
right.
can
I don't
actually
agree.
speak to this.
Yeah.
May
No,
I?
of course, yeah. I want to hear what you say.
So okay, so there's actually to validate that. There's in mindfulness, in the trauma. So obviously I study trauma, and like in the trauma field, one of the things that we have to caveat teaching mindfulness, around teaching mindfulness is that mindfulness can create the space to overthink if you're already in like a traumatic or like a really sensitive place with like your stress levels. So if you're like overstressed, or you're in a heightened space, or you're prone to traumatic flashbacks, like you're going through some cycle of growth, where then mindfulness can kind of incite that, and it can lead to further rumination and the perpetuation of like overthinking and of rapid thoughts, and that can just like, it can turn into a spiral. Like it can be a disaster. So it can be a thing, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we shouldn't practice. Like what we usually say in that respect is like titration, right? Like, let's just see if you can sit in that space for 5 breaths and then just go do the dishes. You know what I mean? Like, or like, and then, okay, tomorrow, like, what if it's 6 breaths? You know, like, could you do that? And how did, like, how much resilience did you build then, you know? Yep. There's certain instances with severe traumatic flashbacks where that's just full stop, not an option. Like, we're not doing mindfulness with those people, right? But, you know, at that time, in that moment. But it is to say there's truth to mindfulness as a practice, like the practice of the impartial spectator being the third party awareness, how it can perpetuate sort of like a negative spiral. But I also think, like on the same breath, I think that we generally are stronger and more capable of handling that than we think we are. So it's like, yes, that can happen, but we also, I think, have the ability to sit with it for longer than we think we can. And if we can sit with it for longer than we think, you know, for longer, we can apply things like belly breathing, which is often practiced with mindfulness and should be practiced with mindfulness to slow down the thoughts. If we can sit with it for longer, practice belly breathing, then we can slow down these rapid thought processes, rather than, you know, just go, okay, fuck it. This is just, I can't do this. It's not for me, right? Well, meditation is not for anyone, frankly. I've been doing this shit for like 17 years and I still fucking sit there and twiddle my thumbs some days, lots of days. You know, it's hard. But the point is to build resilience to how hard that is. And that will then transfer into life, like in other areas when we need it most, you know? So I mean, like, I agree with both of you. I guess is what I'm saying is like, there's truth to what you're saying. That is a real thing. But also like the goal is to detach from that negative spiral so that we can be the observer and realize and witness that it doesn't have to control us. It does often control us because we're just usually in our mind all the time, but like it doesn't have to, and we can take breaks from it and like do our best at expanding our resilience around it and our capacity to deal with it. I hope that didn't sound too preachy. I just felt like that'd be helpful to share.
It was very helpful, actually.
Very helpful.
I think
It's facts.
actually give me a lot. Yeah, like for example, like when I find that meditation has helped me throughout the day. Like and I'll zone in like at times throughout this podcast, like just like remembering like to be present. Aside from that, just
Totally.
like
Let me focus on what Amid's saying.
yeah, exactly. You know, like let me and I think that like the meditative practice for me was very soothing in that when I sit with the thoughts that I have for the most part, which are recurring throughout the day, I can take a 20-minute snapshot and be like, that's a pretty good representation of most of the thoughts I'm probably going to end up having today. And I just get very comfortable with them. I'm like, oh, as an I don't have this thought.
Interesting.
I don't have this thought anymore. But let's say you're a piece of shit for X reason.
Yeah. Got it.
Great.
Noted.
And I eventually get so comfortable with that. And there's some things you have to bring in from a book or from a podcast, and you have to bring it to real world, integrated with yourself. And I bring back somebody I brought up earlier, was just Joe Dispenza. Best thing I learned from him. Just because you have a thought doesn't mean it's true.
Right. Doesn't
I'm
mean
like,
you have to believe it.
I know two things now. I know one of them is that I have to get familiar with these thoughts, so I don't judge myself. All right, man, you think you're a piece of shit. Okay, great. I had that thought 18 times in 20 minutes. Great. Just because I have that thought doesn't mean it's true. I have two pieces of an equation that for me equal, I can access just neutralness. I can just be. I don't have to access like I need this thing or this desire or this feeling, or I get lost in my own thinking. Like I'm not saying it doesn't happen, and like I don't even like caveating because it's not like this is like how you finish the race or something.
Right.
Just saying I'm at this point now where I can like witness it and just think, okay, well, that's a thought. You know, it came, it went. I know that because I sat in the morning for 20 minutes. I saw that same thought. It came and it went. And over time, I remember all those moments where I sat there calmly and I was still breathing through my nose and I was sitting up straight, and like this kind of peaceful thing like has just like slowly started to seep into other moments throughout my day. And Sam Harris does a good job. I use the Waking Up app. Sam Harris does a good job of in the mornings, like some of the ones you'll say, like, today throughout your day, like at certain transitional moments of getting up and walking or finished eating and going back to something. Just remember that, this experience is biological and it's happening in the moment, and the moment is going away. And I don't know. I just like, I just overall just brought me a lot of calmness, right? Like I can access neutralness and that's okay. I love that way that he was described to me. Like, I don't have to be too high or too low.
Right.
And I love it.
That's super powerful. I love that you like what you're saying about practicing in the morning as well. That's usually when I try to meditate, and it kind of just gives you an insight on like, what the fuck's floating around in my unconscious here now today? Like, what can I expect? Almost like a foreshadow, and just sort of facing it head on and being able to kind of like work through some of it even. I mean, with mindfulness, it's more about observation than it is about like psychodynamics and like working through it.
Totally.
But still, like the awareness that you bring to your mind first thing in the morning can be really helpful because it sets you up for being mindful for, maybe more throughout the rest of the day, but also just like, oh, I caught some of these unconscious thoughts that could have snagged me later in the day had I not been aware of them earlier. Like, oh, I'm feeling this kind of way about this. If I didn't build awareness to it first thing in the morning, this would have come out sideways to a loved one later, So I do see that as so valuable, like just bringing awareness to our unconscious and our mind in general, but first thing in the morning, because we can kind of like maybe mitigate some of the asshole-ish behavior that might come out of us, right, if we're not aware, because that's what the unconscious does. Like it, until we're aware of what's circulating underneath the surface, it really does kind of control us. And that's why reframing our mindset is so difficult, because sometimes reframing is actually connected to a really, really deep belief that was formed in childhood, and that needs like all kinds of different things to shift that belief. So it's, sometimes when you're like, oh, just reframe that. Like if you say, for example, like if you're like, oh, I'm a piece of shit or I'm worthless, like whatever, like it doesn't always work just to reframe it and snap your fingers. It's like sometimes you have to really understand, where that came from and why you formed that, and, build a lot of awareness around it and like practice resilience to it. And then when it comes up later, you can be like, okay, yeah, this piece of shit thing or like me being worthless, like this is just a thought I can now detach. But shit, it'll snag you if it's like connected to a core belief. It'll really snag you. And the deeper the belief, the harder it is to reframe, like in terms of speed.
Sure.
And the deeper the core belief, likely the earlier it was formed and more like compiled, you know.
Trying to pull a Titanic with a rope.
Right.
It takes a fucking while, man. You'll be here for a while pulling. The
Yeah.
morning thing I really appreciate because like also Joe Dispenza talk about this and he's like there's a brainwave thing like where typically when you're awake throughout the day, like you're in beta and their beta has like low, medium, high or something like that. High being like there's a tiger, low is you're awake and doing work. Like it's not a big deal. And then there's, I think if I remember correctly, it goes from beta, which is like you're conscious like every day, to alpha, which is like something in between like sleep and awakeness, which is where I try to access this thing because you can't do this in gamma, which is the next one, which is actual deep sleep. And there's another one after that, which is like some like
delta. I can't remember. I should know this.
Interstellar sleep.
pretty much like
traveling.
one of them is like basically hypnosis. Like you're in a state of like deep sleep. So that's like what
it's
these
lucid
Buddhist,
dreaming.
it's like these Buddhist monks who get their heart rate down to 20 and they're meditating for like 3 hours. Like that's like a different, I don't know if I've ever accessed that, but like the alpha one, which everybody can get to. The reason he recommends doing in the morning is for the point that you're part of I'm forgetting it right now, but like you're sort of the thing that's always casting the judgment, like the ego to some degree. It's just not the right one, but something that that brainwave state that you can access in between being awake and asleep is where you can access the doorway into the unconscious and really start to get a grasp. Like, we'll just take a peek at what's going on in there. And I find that I can do that right after waking up.
Yeah.
Right after waking up,
I would agree with that.
ear pods are in. I'm like half asleep. You have to be careful not to be so asleep that the meditative thing like puts you to sleep. Like that's a different thing.
It's
happens
also
to me
okay.
every
It's also
time.
okay though too, right?
It is
I always
okay.
say like,
Sure, yeah.
maybe you need more sleep. That's okay too. Like,
Yeah.
You know,
That's what happens to me every time.
Yeah.
maybe you need more sleep.
Yeah, I do.
That's true. Yeah. Well, now you have these CBD things, and they're probably gonna knock you out nice.
I know. I'm excited to take them now.
I should have brought a new bottle of this. This is the stuff I like have been using. Obviously, it's used, but
That's all right.
next time I'll
We'll just get some on our own.
That's right. With code Janey
25.
25.
People are gonna be like JANIE EY bitches.
it's EY bitches, and I'm gonna put it up there.
I didn't
for
even
everyone to
think
see.
of it that way.
Yeah, it's just Jane with a
Yeah.
Y.
That's good.
Probably have to explain that to a lot of people throughout your life.
Every person ever.
Every story
Yeah.
of life. Yeah.
Well,
Listen, that was 3 hours, believe it or not. So,
3 hours.
yeah.
Holy.
I feel like we just sat down.
God damn.
When you bring great guests, they make you feel like time flies.
I feel like if we had started this earlier in the day, it would have been 5 hours because we were
We
we had a good
getting.
combo going in the kitchen even. So
I know.
we had like 2 hours of chatting before we got here. We actually
That's
have
true.
been on a 5-hour podcast.
Right.
Just 3 of it was recorded. That's
Right.
all.
that
Do you have
makes
any closing thoughts? Anything you felt like you want to say? Finish a loop on? Close a loop on?
sense. You go first.
Neema Naz? He's
We
trying to
gave-
stay
we
awake.
gave everything we had.
Yeah. I'm gonna go try ayahuasca now and shit my pants everywhere.
Do you
Bring a
puke?
bucket.
Yeah.
Why everyone pukes but me?
Like I do both. I love
know-
doing both.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know one person that doesn't puke, and I was like, okay.
I know
I'm
someone
not
too
a
who can't
weirdo.
puke.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not alone.
They can't burp either.
I can burp.
Yeah, that's fucked
Don't
up.
burp anymore.
Well, I
Hashtag
mean not, but
carnivore.
like you would burp if you drank something fizzy though.
Yeah, of course.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
This
okay.
guy
Yeah.
doesn't burp no matter what.
That-
Like he can chug a whole bottle of Coke and nothing.
you better get that checked out, bruh. That's my suggestion too.
Yeah. It's strange.
Yeah, that's
No.
strange.
It's been like that since he was a kid.
Well, thanks for having me. This was lovely.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you for coming on the show. It's great to have you.
Yeah.
Thanks to Janey, the singer and coach.
Do you want to? For anybody who's wondering what the first 5 minutes of this conversation where we recorded was me up against him with an intro that we were trying to do,
Right. Full circle. That
So now
was
you
his
guys know.
intro.
and
Yeah.
mine was very good as well.
Yeah, it was more in depth.
It's like
Yeah.
basically we're best friends.
We're
Yeah.
best friends.
Yeah.
Where can people find you and interact more with you?
Mostly Instagram at Janey B World, JANEY B World. I also have a YouTube account. Janey, it's just / Janey Brown. I think all the rest of my socials are Janey B World, and my new website, janeybrown.com, is coming up soon.
And you're also on Spotify
Also
and
on
Apple
Spotify,
Music and all the
yep.
fun places.
All the music places. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Check it out.
More to come on the musical journey.
Let's
Can't
get
wait.
it. Here's to another 25 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Next time's
Just
3
getting
hour.
started.
Next time's 3 hour episode is on NFTs,
I'm super stoked about that.
and Gary Vee will be here too.
Yeah, he's gonna be
either as Neema Naz or
Yeah,
As
actually,
himself.
Gary Vee, yeah.
which are the same person.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do one more,
TikTok.
and we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks so much,
On the
everyone,
Straight
for
and Curly
listening, and we'll see you on another episode of the Straight and Curly.
Bye,
Podcast.
everybody.